right, we should be good.
Okay, we are on the clock, mic's on, and I will call this meeting to order. DeKalb County Commissioners, today's date is July 17th, 2023. Good morning, Dottie.
Good morning, everybody. Couple updates. A few months ago, we had talked about security or some cameras and things like that in the 9th Street Annex. And last week, Larry finally had. It's been an uphill battle to get a contractor to come in to even give us a quote on our automatic doors, and so finally there was somebody was in. He met last week, so we'll keep our fingers crossed that that project keeps going. He and I touch base every once in a while, and we also have a safety committee meeting on Friday at 8 a.m. down in the White Room of the 9th Street Annex, and so we're probably going to talk a little bit more about the update to the safety manual. I had actually hoped that I would have had a bit more time in June to reach out to our department heads to talk about what they would see, what's applicable to their departments within the safety manual. However, we all know that there was a health plan change, which kind of has taken most of my time, for the last couple months. So we will definitely have some other things, some safety topics that we will talk about, how to get more of our safety training out to each of our departments. And so that, anyway, so a reminder that we will have that safety committee meeting on Friday, 8 a.m. Our updates to the employee handbook, the policy changes that you have authorized. I am still waiting for one department for the cybersecurity, and that will close that one out. We had one or two employees who were out on FMLA during that time, and so we're just trying to close that one.
If you don't hear from that department by Wednesday, let me know.
Thank you, I shall. And on the update, the pump update that we had to the nursing mother's lactation policy, we are about halfway. I did give everybody until the end of the month to get those in. Hey, July, people are on vacation. We've got people out. So, but that one is rolling along also. So we're making progress there. On recruitment, we're still, Public Defender's Office still looking for a deputy, but they have gotten some resumes in. As I told you before, I've reached out to my network, and then, of course, our usual recruiting sites that we have. So I'm sure that Mark will be rolling on that one very soon. Sunny Meadows has a second shift full-time housekeeper caregiver opening. We have that posting out. Well, actually, I think that one closes today. So she has gotten some resumes, and I'm not sure if she's done any interviewing for this one. We had quite a turnover, and so I think she's going to take her time to try to train the ones that we have hired in. So we'll get that second shifter in, I hope, soon, by the end of July, I would hope. Community corrections, there is an opening residential facilities officer still, and the building maintenance. And Bill, thank you very much. I had a phone call last week from, I'm sure, somebody that you had spoken with, and then I forwarded that message out to community corrections, to Michelle and to Brad, and Brad actually spoke to that person on Thursday. So we'll see how, if that person is actually the one interested, or if that person has some contacts. But networking is always great. The more people that you talk to about a position, hopefully somebody knows somebody, and that person will be qualified. And we'd love to have that resume come in. Speaking of part-time people, Development Services has asked me to renew and update the code enforcement official position posting. We updated the wage a bit because we weren't getting the response that we were hoping for. So we have that message out again. Once again, I sent it to my network of law enforcement, fire departments, whatever, in addition to the regular suspects. And so keep our fingers crossed on that. We'll have that for another couple weeks, I'm sure. And highway department, well, this week we will probably just renew the posting out there for CDL drivers. It was interesting over the weekend. I was talking to some people who are not even in this area, and it was a high school reunion kind of thing, and talking about CDL drivers and the lack of them. We have more positions than we have people who are trained for doing those jobs. So we're all in the same boat. And I've talked to other counties too, same boat. And finally, our health department. We still have the posting out for the nurse, the RN. Cheryl is contemplating maybe revising the job description, maybe putting less emphasis on it being an RN. Maybe that's where she's getting caught up. Maybe the person just needs more organizational, emergency management, that sort of, which is a big part of their job, in addition to budgeting and working on those sorts of things.
Are you saying we don't necessarily need an RN then, or?
She's going to really think about it. I think why they've always had an RN in that position is because of the need for having, the actual RN, and so you pull that person in to do the shots at the clinics, or when we have, the flu shots for our employees, and that way they can shoot up a whole bunch of people all at once. When you have,
Shoot up. I don't know if I
shoot
use
up
that
people.
word,
Hey,
but okay.
when they do that that clinic that they do out at in the parking lot, I always call it the drive-by shooting. And so Cheryl, I think, cringes when I do, but I think it's funny.
We're going to get us in trouble with those
At least
comments.
it's a legal shoot up.
That's right, it's legal.
Yeah.
Yes. So anyway, so we kind of touched on that last week. She's thinking about it. I do believe she might be on vacation this week. So I could probably reach out to her, but when she's on vacation, she probably really needs it. So I don't want to bug her when she's on vacation. So that kind of gives you an update on what's happening for recruitment purposes. The health plan, yes, we've had, snafus. And it's come at an interesting time because, of course, the migration of our email system has caused a little bit of angst in our department, as I'm sure it's been in other departments. We're trying to get a message through to the health plan via, a secure email. Did it go? Did we get it? When we were on kind of both systems, it's like, okay, well, we got to check that one. Not sure. Did they even get back to us? Did they get ours? There's been a lot of angst about that. However, I am going to say this, that I sincerely hope that our employees overall have treated the IT department a little bit better than they have with the health, the health plan. I get that. The health plan is very personal. And so we have had some employees that, it's their health. And, we are working as hard as we can. The individual, whichever vendor is working as hard as they can on their side to correct whatever the issue is. I was just telling Mike and Rick, we had an issue with they're all important, prescription for an employee, and they were being told at the pharmacy that, sorry, it's not covered. talked to the doctor. Well, what happened was we reached out to Surest. What's happening on your end? Because everything looked fine on my end. I could, because I now have access to that site. All the numbers looked great. The data looked great. They said their data looked great. What is happening? Trey, who did the meetings for Surest UHC here, reached out to both the provider and the pharmacy, and they were running it through Anthem. Everything was being run through Anthem. And so...
That'll kick back.
Yeah, exactly. And so once they got that settled, but you've got to have somebody who's willing to kind of look beyond the usual. And so thank you, Trey, for, like a dog with a bone, thinking outside the box. Okay, what else could this possibly be? Who are you running it through? Anthem. And I am sure, knowing this employee, that they provided the information, the card, to the provider, to the pharmacy. Yeah, communication is key.
And by the way, Anthem on that card, did it?
Nope, didn't say Anthem at all. But you get into a habit. Automatically. You're do, and it goes through Anthem. And if it's something that the person has had, for a couple of years, we've been with Anthem a couple of years, and the provider and the pharmacy just automatically goes right through. Yeah. So anyway, we've had a few of those sorts of things. We have some employees that. Because dentists are such an interesting dynamics with in network, out of network, will they file a claim, things like that. We've really had to. I've had several conversations where the dentist's office will actually call me, and we've talked through. What our plan has, because our people they've had a temporary card, but not the real card. And so most of them have been really willing to work with us, but, our employees haven't really, gotten used to the fact that if the dentist will file the claim for you, it will come back as, the usual and customary and the things like that. Probably what they're being told is, well, no, we're not in network. Todd, from your wife being in that field. So we're working through a lot of semantics, it's kind of new. So, we're getting through it. And this too shall pass, along with our email system, and it'll run like a well-oiled machine, I am sure. And as I have commented to Teresa and to Lindsay, next year will be much better. When you do anything new, and it's so different, and everything had to be changed.
Yeah. And you always have to smooth out those rough edges.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we're doing, and we'll have some tweaks for I'm sure for next year, but let's get through this initial. We're still tweaking some things, but the big tweaks we'll have coming down the pike, I'm sure. So anyway, that's kind of what I have, unless I've forgotten something that I sent you an email about that I don't remember. I have slept since then, I'm sure, but I think that is all I have for you guys.
Anything for Dottie? Anyone?
Kind of short and sweet.
The safety meeting on Friday, you have a commissioner to attend that?
If anybody's available, yeah.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Sure.
9 a.m. is it?
It's 8.
8 a.m. I wrote 9, 8.
Yep. We're at 8 a.m., nice and early. Yep. And so, IPEP will be there, and so will a rep from insurance trustees. Love having those guys come because they add so much information to the meetings, and we talk about our open claims, and if we have any trends, how can we fix those trends? Unfortunately, when you have, I always say this, at the jail, you have prisoners who don't want to be there, and they're going to lash out, but you never know how it's going to happen. Are they going to spit? Are they going to, do whatever? Will it be bloodborne pathogens? Will it be some sort of bodily fluids? Will it just be a elbow to the rib cage?
Right.
A wrenched shoulder? You never know. They try to train the personnel as well as you can, and you're still going to have things like that. So, and IPEP understands that. They actually have a person on staff who is very law enforcement focused, and she was at our last meeting and reached out and had business cards to pass out to any of those focused departments. So hopefully they're reaching out if they need some extra assistance, because law enforcement, that area is a little different than an office job. So anyway, that's what I have.
Any nibbles on the law, code enforcement officer?
That was the one that we've
was-
had to increase the wage. We had nibbles, but not really qualified nibbles.
Okay.
Yep. I've actually, often what I will do with a department head is I will screen the resumes that come through me. With Chris, I've just been, the few that we've gotten, I've just been sending them all so that he can, if he decides he'd like to have a phone screening, he can do that. Maybe dig a little deeper, but that's why he asked me last week to, let's renew the posting, and we talked about bumping up the wage a little bit, so we did. It's well within what he has budgeted, of course, but I've reached out to my network. I mean, you can lead a horse to water, but
What is that per hour?
I think now we have it bumped up to 20. It's just 10 hours a week, not bad.
No.
So, really good for a,
I had
part-time
the-
job.
I had the time.
Sorry, you wouldn't be able to, I don't know. Anyway,
Double dipping.
the commissioners made that rule, so it's not my rule.
yeah.
But anyway,
Well, maybe when I'm off commissioner.
maybe so. Yeah, maybe we will. So,
Because that might be quite a while yet.
okay. All right. Anyway, that is what I have.
I'll shoot Doug Cox an email this afternoon. He may-
That'd be
may,
great. Yeah, like I said,
just in
the more
case.
people who know about it, the better. I've reached out to our, my HR contacts with Butler and Auburn, and hey, could you guys kind of post this? It's only a really part-time job, wouldn't take away from any of your personnel, but that's the sort of background that we would really love. And Chris and I talked about it. With the previous person, they had the personality that they could work with somebody. Here we've had a complaint about it, and if you don't present it correctly, you already have somebody who's combative. But if you present it correctly, and we want to work with you to fix this problem, but you just have to have that right personality and and background. So that's what we're looking for.
Is there any update on the weights and measures?
No, I did not. Todd, did you?
heard
Okay,
anything.
all righty. I have that on my calendar to reach out to Pat or his wife to find out.
Yeah, because one of the gentlemen that did the scales at
Right.
OmniSource needs to know if he's coming back within the next week or so. If not, we have to pull someone from Indianapolis to certify those scales.
Right, yeah, that's what you had said, so,
I'd rather not do that from a cost standpoint, but if we have to, we
yeah,
have to.
right, yeah, necessary, so, yep.
Okay.
All righty.
Anything? Anybody?
Gives you guys a few extra minutes to do something else.
Right.
All right, yeah. All right, I'll see ya.
Have a good week,
Thanks.
Dottie.
Dottie.
Okay. I didn't see any claims.
It's just the official approval of the special claim batch that you approved last week. She presents them to you, and then we do the official motion with, again,
Again,
procedure for state board.
claims?
I'll move to approve those again.
Second.
And motion is second to approve claims again. Any additional comments again? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Okay, minutes. Any problems with the minutes?
See any? Move to approve minutes.
Second.
A motion is second to approve minutes. Additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, the same. Minutes are approved. Travel. Motion to approve travel. Any comments?
Move to approve travel.
Second.
Motion seconded to approve travel. Are there any other comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, opposed, the same. Travel is approved. Miscellaneous topics. Anybody?
Okay, I have a few.
Okay.
One of them having to do with travel. Did you all see the red line version of the proposed changes? Were there any comments, any changes before we get the official document for action?
None for me.
I think there's one spot where they have to choose.
Well, now that's in a different
Oh, you
ordinance.
think it was in a different one?
I don't think that's one that had the or when we were.
Yes, that was the or.
I don't think that was
not
travel,
in that
was
one.
it? Or was that?
I thought that was in travel, but I'll see if I can pull it up.
Yeah. I might be getting the two confused.
It's about the mileage, so.
Yeah,
we had
that's
in
true.
there.
That did confuse me. I did have a question on that.
Okay, so originally, it was said that, and it was Bill that originally said it, that he would prefer, and you agreed, prefer that we use our personal vehicles for mileage reimbursement. And so this is what I put. DeKalb County Commissioners prefer training travel to be done by personal vehicles for mileage reimbursement. However, if a county-owned vehicle is used, it is required that a document be kept that tracks the amount of mileage the vehicle is used for training purposes and submitted to the auditor quarterly. Or, because I believe then Bill might have contacted Andrew and wanted it to be that county vehicles are not to be used for seminars. So are we allowing them to with tracking, or are we not allowing them to?
Say that again. Are we allowing what?
Are we allowing them to use our current county-owned vehicles with the tracking document?
With a tracking document.
I was preferring that they use the personal vehicle and get the mileage.
Right, but for state called stuff and whatever, we were gonna use the county vehicle, correct?
No.
Well, I'm a little hesitant to tell Ben Parker he can't drive his county truck to road school. That's a little, but, I mean,
Because I thought the purpose was you guys wanted to know for training only what kind of mileage that was on the county vehicles. So we had agreed to do a tracking document that they would submit to us.
Yeah, the idea I thought was, on the county vehicles was to track the mileage more closely so we know where the expense, so we could figure expenses going forward on them. But I agree with Bill. I think we should reserve the use of them for official use. To me, official use though would be a state called function. If we have a state called function, I don't have a problem, but these travels where they're just, well, I want to go to this seminar or something, I think that ought to be on the personal vehicle.
What is a state called function, I guess?
In other words, a mandatory, the state says, hey, your
A meeting of all the department heads.
your
or-
auditor must attend this in order to receive credits to
We get
continue to
state
be.
called, we get letters
Is
saying
it
that.
training, like? continuing education or
Most of the
just?
time, it's like our annual conferences.
Yeah.
The auditor has 2 annual conferences a year, and then I think treasurer, recorder, clerk, and assessor, they have 1. The clerk might have like 1 for each of her divisions.
And so the
I'm not
idea
positive
is
on
you have
that.
to decide whether, the commissioners need to decide whether or not they want people to use their private vehicles for that or county-owned vehicles.
Right. Now, who all has cars available? We know that the highway department, Ben has a truck.
Highway, sheriff, health, probation, community corrections,
Right.
surveyor. They
Yeah,
have
the
to go in a lot.
surveyor, yeah, that's a truck though, isn't it? That's equipped for,
Yeah,
has all his sampling equipment on it.
Yeah, pickup.
Yeah,
couple trucks.
Emergency management.
yeah. Yeah, my intention, Bill, and maybe I was confused, was we were gonna still allow those vehicles for state called functions if they wanted to use them. But the willy-nilly stuff, like, well, hey, I want to just attend this, I think that ought to be a personal vehicle. But either way, I think we need to track our vehicles' mileage more closely, just so we have an idea of what they're being used and when the replacement schedule should be.
I agree with the reporting aspect, certainly.
That's my opinion.
I guess I could go along with that. Of course, there are daily requirements where they have to use them daily for their
Oh,
job.
yeah, you got it.
I mean, Ben's got to run over to
Yeah.
Noble County to check at something at the
Yeah.
highway department over there. That, of course, that's allowed.
But if Ben wants to drive to French Lick for a non-called item, I don't see any reason to drive a 13 mile per gallon vehicle that's replacement value is $60,000
Yeah,
to go
agreed.
attend something that you must not, that you don't have to go to. Now, if you want to go, that's a different story. That's how I feel. we
And
should
we'll
go.
pay reimbursement,
Yes,
even if they have a I want to say, a vehicle that does not get good gas mileage. Is that going to matter?
no.
If it's state called.
If it's state called, I think the company, or the county vehicle should be able to be used for it.
Or optional, or if they,
Yeah, or if they want to do it, if they want to use their own, I have no problem with that
right,
either.
right. Rick, you have a comment? Mic on?
Yes, I do have a comment. Number one, taking a look at the departments that actually have a vehicle. Those departments may not have the same state-called type meetings that the auditor, the treasurer, the assessor has, but they're all departments that have a large amount of training that's available to them. And I would not want to see them denied the ability to go to that training or to have to use their own vehicle to go for something that is a benefit to the county. You also, if they have a vehicle, do they have mileage in their budgets? If they don't have mileage in their budgets, there's no place for them to charge that mileage too, unless we do an additional appropriation. So I think you need to have a council agreement on this as to whether or not they should have a mileage put in their budget to go to these meetings, this training that does help the county. It is a benefit to the county. And I have faith in our department heads that they are not going to send people to meetings that are inappropriate or nonsensical. They are managers and they should be able to manage their department and not be micromanaged from this based on whose vehicle they're going to take to a meeting. So I think it's unfair to our department heads and our elected officials.
And the mileage that is payable out of our travel, training, and education accounts that we budget from,
For the elected officials,
for
Not-
anybody.
the elected officials training fund is the one
No,
I'm
not
talking
in-
about.
Correct. So, okay, so either way, whether it's county elected or county general, our travel, training, and education account includes mileage.
It's not in their individual budgets.
Yes.
Okay, so if it just says education, they can charge mileage to it.
It doesn't. It says travel, training, and education all under one account.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well,
So
still
they-
not fair to the employees to have to put the miles on their own vehicles for something that's going to benefit the county.
Understood.
Hey, can you clarify, would those be things that they have to go to that you're talking about, but they're not state called? Can you give me an example?
Things that they have to go to. There is other education, but it has to be something that's going to benefit their department. Sandy, as the treasurer, is not going to send an employee and charge her department for items that are not necessary or aren't going to benefit her department. She's the one that should make that choice. Same way with Susan. They should be the ones that make that choice. This benefits them and their department.
One of the examples that isn't a state called that they give very good seminars is AIC, Association of Indiana Counties. They're not state ordered, but what they do, the topics they do are very beneficial. There's a couple different budget ones that are beneficial to a lot, not just my office. There's a communication one on how to communicate. There's leadership. There's other topics that help to perform and carry your office forward. Sometimes there are special ones, like for us, special ones on the grants and how we have to report them because those are monumentous. Just different things like that.
Okay, we'll have to put this on hold for now. We got an agenda item up at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
And we'll pick this up later on. I think we'll have some time in this next hour to further address this. Innkeepers tax discussion. Come on up, Amber.
Morning.
The blue light,
Is it?
blue light on.
There we go. Okay, so this is basically just an update on some of our discussions for innkeeper's tax. Mr. Cruz and I've been working closely just on some issues that we've been having that were have been unresolved for actually two of the hotels for the past 12, 13 months now. So there are two main issues that we're working with. One is an easy fix. Payment of True and Sure Stay Plus, used to be the Auburn Inn, have been paying directly to the Department of Revenue instead of directly to our county treasurer. And there's like an easy pay button that makes it easy for them to pay. So usually counties are all Department of Revenue or all county treasurer. And when I talked to my other people in tourism, they said, we've never seen anybody split like that. We're not sure why they're doing that. So go ahead and rectify that. That's an easy fix.
And part of that, if I can add,
Yeah.
is that when they pay the Indiana Department of Revenue, it makes it very difficult to figure out how much they've paid and when and what it's for, because it was like pulling teeth for the auditor's office.
Basically had to sign off
Yeah.
my firstborn to even be able to get
the
somebody
data.
to respond.
And it's
they've
like 3 or 4 months late.
They
by the
responded
time they get it.
once.
Yeah.
And
just
I
once.
have at least 4 more messages out to the same person that responded to me, to the DOR, and I still have not gotten any response at all.
Which seems to be pretty common across the state also. So that should just be an easy drafted letter by Mr. Cruz.
Yes.
Stating that language to make sure they know that per our ordinance, it is a direct payment. So that shouldn't be a big deal. And the other issue that we're dealing with is the Baymont and Country Inn and Suites, both the same owner. They are the ones that are 12, 13 months behind now. And per our ordinance language again, county attorney has jurisdiction to file a lien against a property because we did hear they were trying to sell. So, and I don't know if Andrew, if you have anything else to add to that?
Yes, my understanding is the only way we can get a lien is to file a suit against them, file a Liz Pendens notice, which we can get a type of lien through a notice, Liz Pendens notice, saying, hey, there's a case pending. Anybody that buys the property takes subject to that notice of the outcome of the lawsuit, which could be a year from now or whenever. But I can't slap a lien on it without filing a lawsuit first, and I didn't feel comfortable doing that without getting approval of the commissioners one way or the other for filing a suit against those 2 hotels.
Do we know if they've collected the tax? They're just not remitting it?
I am almost positive they have collected it because it's the process of collection is very easy and it is
Yeah.
in fact a felony to collect it and then
That's
not,
what I'm
not turn
li-
it over. So
Yeah, because there's criminal activity if
we-
they collected it didn't and willfully didn't remit it.
exactly. And they were new owners, so we were trying to work with them at the beginning with McCanna saying, we understand you're new owners, here's our process. They kind of tried for 2 months and then it's just,
Okay.
we had a water leak, we had this, we had that, and it's just like ongoing. So, but we actually do have, and this is something that Susan and I have been talking about, we have like 5 current ordinances right now because they've been amended. So obviously the original is in 99. We have an amendment in 2011, 2014, 2016, 2020. So there are all these amendments. So we're talking about basically drafting language to say, okay, let's take everything that we have, what we know now, and let's, especially with that State Board of Accounts transition between commission and the nonprofit side, is how can we kind of holistically add everything we want into one piece? That way we're not having to hop in between kind of documentation and whatnot. And so we are talking about just kind of doing that process as well, setting some kind of algorithm, because once again, per our ordinance right now, we have basically, it's due on the 20th of the month, 5% if it's not given by the 25th, 10% if it's not given by the 30th day of the month. After 60 days, it's supposed to go to county attorney, but then there's no language otherwise. And so we were talking about adding some kind of algorithm based on my hotel data reporting and county reporting, basically what an average is, and trying to set, like, so if you're how many months behind, how do we keep, setting
Without
language?
their data, we don't know how much to charge them
Yeah.
because they're in charge of the data of how many rooms they've
How
sold.
many rooms?
Yeah.
How much money are we talking roughly, do you think? in
For
tax?
Baymont?
Yeah, just
So I would
Baymont.
say, so it's not our highest performing hotel, so I would probably say on average, it's gonna be anywhere from, let's say, 3 to 3,500, 3,000 to 3,500 a month.
A
So,
month?
yeah.
Yeah. It's,
we're talking
it's
about
a
40
sizable
grand,
amount.
right?
So we're,
now,
yeah,
Dales.
we're about 40 grand in the whole per each, depending on, room capacity and
Well,
whatnot.
that's pretty
So
significant.
It's a
That's
sizable amount.
Yeah, that's a big amount of money. That's, wow, if I did that to the state, sold a car and didn't give them the sales tax, I can
Exactly.
guarantee you, they'd be there with cuffs.
Well, and I will tell you that we've been able to use these keeper tax
Yeah.
dollars, doing the quality of place initiatives through the different counties and able to kind of spread the love and just grow our outside communities to benefit the county. And so, I mean, those, every dollar matters
Yeah.
everywhere, so.
Well, earlier this year, I worked to do with the auditor's office, and I think with your office too, to do quite a number of letters. I don't know if it was 5 letters to different hotels we thought were behind. And then we found out that a couple of them were paying through the state
The state
system.
deal.
And the state wasn't reporting it to the auditor's office, who was paying what.
Did we ever get
So-
the money from the state then, once they pay the state?
Apparently
Yeah,
we do,
so
yeah.
They are
it's-
kicking it back
It's
to
called
us
the
then.
facilitators marketplace, and so I get one line item that basically has a total amount, but I have no idea how it's
Where it
divvied up.
came.
And what we were told is that's like Expedia, Travelocity, so the third party, basically hotel vendors, Airbnb, VRBO, those are taken out by the state because it's an app that spans federally.
I see.
And so it's okay that we get those marketplace facilitators through the Department of Revenue because that's their process.
Okay.
But only Expedia, Travelocity,
Right.
third-party vendors are supposed to be doing that. Every other person is supposed to do it directly to the county. So
That makes
so there is a line item, but I
When-
just don't see how it's
When we get
segmented.
that monthly payment, we wouldn't have known that it was
You wouldn't know it was
other
even
people.
coming, yeah.
Well, because I
Yeah,
thought
you wouldn't know who it
True-
was from, so
Yeah.
it does, you can't credit it against the
I
amount
thought
they owed.
True
It's a bad
was
system.
completely delinquent because
It's,
I'm like, why aren't they paying? Like,
Right.
But they were.
But they were, it's just they went through the state site, and you
Yep.
had no idea that's where the money was coming from.
Exactly.
It's
So
my understanding, from previous conversations with Jim McCanna, that one hammer we have is getting their registered retail merchant certificate suspended, which is an administrative procedure with the Secretary of State's office.
That would be interesting. That could put some pressure on them.
Yeah.
I guess it wouldn't hurt for me to reach out to the Secretary of State's office to see
Yeah.
what we would have to do to threaten that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I just kind of wanted to put this on everybody's radar too as a last, I guess, note. I did get an email this morning from, through ITA, Indiana Tourism Association. I'm on their legislative committee. And basically, there is an interim committee on state and local tax review task force. And, there are definitely senators and a couple of representatives. And this is going to include a 2-year study of all state local taxes, including innkeeper's tax.
Yeah.
So once again, that's for everybody to know, but also why, we kind of need to lock everything up to make sure we're doing things properly. That way, when that review comes, we have no red flags.
Yeah.
Or reason to have a red flag, so. That's all I have, just an update. We're working on it. Senator Cruz, Mr. Cruz.
That's an okay mix-up to have there. I'm not a senator for the record.
Right?
He'll take the title.
Yeah, right. Has been just amazing to work with, and we are getting all this locked up, so. You
Great.
guys have any questions?
That's good. I appreciate the clarification on how that
Yeah,
state collection worked and how it,
Yeah.
we get the money, we just don't know where it came from,
Yeah.
so.
Well, I can do the letter to True and Sure Stay, I think it is, to have them do the direct payment to the county instead of through the IDR. Regarding the lawsuits on Baymont and Country Inn and Suites, do I have direction from the commissioners one way or the other on those lawsuits?
But I think we need to file list pendants for sure to,
To get that, we
ball
have to
rolling.
file a suit.
yeah,
So,
suit and
okay.
get the list pendants. And like I
that-
said, if someone's
okay.
looking to buy it, they're gonna immediately ask, okay, what's this lawsuit entail? And,
This isn't the first time we've dealt with this,
yeah.
and I'd like it to be the last.
Well, it's interesting though, because like I said, it's pretty serious to collect a tax and not remit it. It's one thing not to collect it and say, hey, we just forgot. Still wrong, but it's not, I think it's criminal to keep the money. It's
To roll it into
criminal.
your operating.
Yeah,
funds
that's-
is
yeah.
is a little shame.
Yeah.
And then what about, and I don't know how Susan feels about
ordinances.
this, the ordinance? Do you want me to work with Rachel in my office and you somewhat and you as well to draft up like a master ordinance change to this, or?
Well,
What
and
do
I will
you-
say too, I don't know if this makes the process easier. We do have a little bit of a budget for any kind of extra. And so we kind of use Zach Leitner just to, I'll say, hey, I need this drafted, like right of first refusal for property payment, that kind of stuff. So, I mean, if that takes some stuff off of your plate, I can say, hey, this is what we have. We're trying to make it collective with the language, and our board can work with him through that if that makes it easier for your guys' process. And obviously, we all,
I think if they're all county ordinances, probably
Yeah,
Andrew should.
I don't mind doing that, that's part of my
I just
job,
know
so
you guys
it's
are
no
so
charge to
busy,
you guys.
so I'm
Yeah.
like, well,
No,
and there
that's
is
okay.
language as well that does say that any, trying to remember the exact language, but any pending attorney fees do go to that hotel. So I don't know, once again, what that means, but there is language in the ordinance that does state that any, county attorney fees or whatnot should be taken care of by the hotel. So.
Well, so as far as that goes, the only extra fees are typically for litigation.
Sure.
Everything else is a part of my job. I represent like the treasurer's office, the auditor's office, and that's all part of my job. If I need to go to a meeting, I don't charge extra for that.
Right.
It's all a part of the,
Okay, I just didn't
except
want
for
to be I
litigation.
didn't want to be burdensome. I was
That's
like, I
okay.
don't know how that works.
That's okay.
That
think
burden is
we
something we
could-
collect our 40 grand.
Right?
That's good.
I think we could work together and draft something and then
Get everybody's
get
input.
everybody,
Yeah.
you guys to review it.
Anytime
And
we can clean up some ordinances that way, I think we
Yeah.
should, obviously.
Do you want me to have Rachel start that process, or do you want, okay, I will do that.
Anything else for Amber?
Believe
Thank
that's
you,
it.
Amber. Yeah.
Wow. We're done in kind of early here.
On to the next.
Yeah, you have to stay another 45 minutes here and keep us
Well,
in.
I actually, Mary Deal, I know is coming for the covered bridge at some point,
Right,
but she's not till much later, right?
right.
10:45.
I might be back for that. I'm not sure. Let me see if
Okay,
anything else clean up.
okay.
Just
All
to show
right, thank you,
support.
Amber.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, do you want to go back to the travel changes, or do you want me to keep going on my miscellaneous stuff?
Keep going on miscellaneous.
Okay. I received an email along with all of you from Okra. They want a primary contact person for the next level connections, round 4. I bet you didn't get it because of your email.
No, I didn't at the time.
So this was on Wednesday. Governor Holcomb announced that round 4 of the Next Level Connections Grant Program is open. And the grant, it's designed to provide funds for the deployment of high-quality, reliable broadband to unserved and underserved parts of Indiana. The Office of Community and Rural Affairs are grateful for the opportunity to invite you to assist us in determining the pool of addresses that internet providers will be able to apply for. And then it goes on with the instructions, and they sent multiple attachments, but they're only asking for today. The request is they're asking that we fill out the attached NLC4 contact information for county's template and return it to them by today. This is so they know who to contact for the information. I didn't know if that contact was going to be one of you, if you're wanting it to be me, or how we are handling it so we at least get the info.
This is to receive the info for the grant, correct?
It's just the contact information for the county.
Probably just come to you initially and then disseminate it to us when it comes, I would think.
I'm-
That way it doesn't get lost, because you know what
I'm-
happens if you give it to one of us.
Yeah, I have a hard time with that. Okay, I will take care of that. I just didn't want to assume. Okay.
Is that all right, Bill? I mean, that.
Yeah,
makes sense,
that's
huh?
fine. We need a motion on that.
I don't think so. Okay, so I handed out 2 pieces of paper, a long one and a short one, as I'm going through budgets and looking at numbers. So the smaller one that has color on it, that is your lighted budget. I have 3 areas that are in yellow. So the CPR certification cards, I put that into your county general budget because we need to reserve some of your lighted funds. You had administrative leases. That was for the ARC company. It was leases on like the surveyor, auditor, plan, our big, huge plotter scanner, like the big, huge printer thing in the other side of my office. So the county has 3 of those and the commissioners pay those leases. I combined all of those and put that into the county general. It's not a huge amount, but I put that over there. Then, if you go down to the highway buildings. So originally, we had 300,000 there for highway contingency. Well, if you go to the other page in the ARPA fund, that $7 million figure at the bottom, that is as of Friday, or whenever I did this, how much has not been spent and the areas that we had allocated it. So I will go with that to start for the budget, and then come next year, it's not gonna be that much in each of these because we will have already spent some. But there was a little bit left in the nurses' pay. Once we paid them, there's a little bit left there. There was like $60 left in something else. It might have been a match for the trails or something. And then we had some money that we hadn't earmarked yet also. So I combined all that and put that in with the contingency money that was already planned in there, which originally that started at like $462,000. So as we're sitting, if we leave contingency money in ARPA, we've got $714,000 for contingency. I have no idea what contingency dollars look like. So I didn't know. I took 250 out of the lighted plan and left 50 in. I don't know if we still need that, if the 714 is going to be enough, or what your pleasure is on that.
Contingency funds would cover any change orders during the cost of the construction, which is where that original 400,000 came from. But we've also got probably 300,000 in soft cost
Yeah.
that had not been accounted for in the project anywhere.
Right.
Okay,
So if you put those two together, you're at that 700,000 mark anyway. So I think, I would certainly hope that we don't chew up that full 400,000 on change orders.
okay.
We shouldn't anyway. But I suspect that we'll use every bit of that 300,000 in soft cost
Okay.
money. So
Have we
I
spent,
think that's probably the right number.
yeah, I think it probably is too. We haven't really spent anything on change orders so far though, have we?
No,
No.
we did spend some soft cost.
Yeah.
On those lifts.
On the lifts, yeah, those
Yeah.
were 60 grand or whatever, I remember, and,
Yeah.
yeah, because we were gonna equip the shop a little with, some of this money and furniture maybe,
There's
and
shelving.
and,
Break room stuff and,
Yeah.
I mean, all of that.
I think Mike's right, I think we'll spend the 300 pretty handily.
Yeah.
And the 400 would be a nice, just in case, but I
So we
don't see
had-
us spending it.
Okay, so we had 462,740 planned contingency,
Right.
plus you had 300 in lighted.
Yeah.
So I moved 250, so in lighted, I left 50,000 in there,
I think that's.
because I wasn't
I think that's
sure.
okay.
I think that's sufficient.
Okay, so if we go, so you guys are okay with how I did the ARPA with the
I am.
little extra that was left over to get it in there? Okay. So then, if you look at your lighted, then you can see the big red number. So Jeff is saying that each year we should expect about 1.8 million in revenue, like that's what we're
Lighted
gonna
revenue.
receive.
Okay.
So, and around 800,000 is gonna be the bond payment. So that literally leaves $1 million left to disperse. However, historically, you've never spent your full budgets. So, if you actually spend your full 2023 budget and the rest of the receipts that we get this year, we're gonna have about a $1.4 million end of year balance. Most likely it'll be way more than that because you generally just don't spend it. So that would cover what is over the
Oh, I see.
1.8 budget for '23. But if that is all spent, say, by the end of the year, then for '25, you're gonna have 800 and some thousand for your bonds and $1 million or so to disperse in between. For the line items, the new jail accumulation fund, there's $100,000 in that. And that kind of just was always just sat there. So it's not, but if you spend your money, you're not gonna have it backed up anyways. So that was kind of a placeholder, so I didn't really account, it's accounted for, but in my mind, not gonna be spent. The other one I didn't know of was the roof for covered bridge. You had $100,000 in that, and I wasn't sure if that was gonna be spent or not. I left it in there, so it was there. So that's kind of where I got the $200 for your administrative funds, because those two probably won't be spent, depending what you do with the roof. Other than that, everything else, like the fee for services for economic development, those were already agreed to. Then there was an agreement for the Fred Gross Cup drain, which some of that's coming from ARPA also. You had pledged $347,000 for the County Road 56 project. And highway operations, I think you guys originally said $1 million, I took it down to 900,000. I'm not sure if you're gonna really have 900,000 to give them or not, just depending what other projects come up and you pay for. So,
We did have $1 million originally, according to my notes.
correct.
Yeah. But I think Ben's gonna need to have some idea of whether that actually is gonna be there or not.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think it'll be there for next.
For next year.
For next year,
24.
yeah.
25
But I
is when the
don't
problem
know, I mean, if you spend everything and you go on the 1.8 million you have, then you are basically, if you keep highway in there, you're basically funding the highway and paying their bonds.
Yeah.
And then you have nothing else to do. So I just wanted you guys to be aware of that. Are there any other changes you want? I can still make changes. This was my best estimate as I was looking through the values.
Since you're talking about the highway department, that's actually why I came up today, was to just ask for direction from the commissioners. I sent you an email last week. Now, the council is going to talk about the wheel tax at their August 8th meeting. And if we are to implement that tax for 24, it wouldn't take effect until January of 24, we're going to have information from the commissioners as to, number one, do you have a shortfall? How much, and if you do, how much is necessary? Because we have a wide variety or a wide range that we can actually set that wheel tax. And we're going to want direction from you as to how much money do you need for the highway department. The actual shortfall does not happen until 2025, which again, you're talking about 2025 here. And if we are to deny the wheel tax this time, we could discuss it again next year for effect in 25. But so that's the parameters that we're working on. And there were a number of questions that were brought up at the last council meeting about different types of vehicles, historical vehicles, farm vehicles, whatnot. I am right now trying to get that initial list from the Bureau of Motor Vehicles as to what exactly those different types are, because we had a discrepancy between what one of our farmers thought and what our council attorney thought was available. So I want to get verification on that. But the bottom line is we will work from whatever number you decide you need. And whether that's to just fix the shortfall or whether that is to see that, we've got a process started where we're going to take our roads that are less than optimal and try to get them to at least a level 5. And, you and Ben's provided us with information on how much it costs to improve each mile. So that's discussions that you and Ben Parker need to have to give us some direction in August. So,
Quick question, since you mentioned, are you saying that you can possibly exclude the historical and the farm plates at the BMV level when they go in?
No.
Or the
no,
tax?
we can make them much less or much higher. I mean, we get to what we'll set up is we'll set up a spreadsheet that we can manipulate the cost of each plate and see what the bottom line is. Because one person, Dave Yard, had an issue with the elderly that might be on fixed incomes, and I've had at least one email that addresses that also. Can't do anything about the elderly or the people that are on fixed income. It all has to be the same, but we don't have to go to the maximum on automobiles, but we could go to the maximum on, say, a semi. But farm vehicles, farm semis, and farm tractors, the tractor for the semi, are a separate category, I believe. But I haven't gotten proof on that. So we can make the farm vehicle something less than a semi that is functional 365 days a year.
Yeah, there is a difference. I'm pretty sure there used to be anyway. Farm was classified differently.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I think you're right, Bill. I think there is, but I want verification from BMV before I make that statement that we can do that. But I would like to work with the amounts and the bottom line that you say you need.
What kind of revenues, and I know you said it could be any charge, you could charge little or charge a lot per vehicle, but roughly what do you think it would bring in revenue if you went with the, you know,
Remembering those numbers, we're into several $1 million. And that's divided up amongst the town, cities and towns also.
Yeah, I think
So
the
each one
counties-
of the cities and towns is going to get some relief from this or some portion of this.
The county share, I think, ranged from like $1.5 million to a little over 4 or 4.2.
Yeah, depending on
or something
how
like
far
that,
we go.
Depending
We
on
go
where you
with-
set the
Yeah.
rate.
And the low is if you didn't have a asset management plan, but everybody's got one now, and that gives you a higher end. But you had to have that to take part in the community crossings grants, so.
On the
But anyway.
document that Jeff gave us, which I forget right now what year this data was.
August of '22. So
Okay.
it's almost a year old now. and
Okay, so on those, the amount with our plan that he was just talking about, we are like at 1.5 to 1.9 for the county.
for the county's portion.
For the counties.
Yeah.
Using that average.
And it doesn't, and that's, I don't even think that Jeff used the maximum numbers.
One question I had, and I know it's a council discussion, but I read in the notes when the real wheel tax was introduced years ago, the truckers really had a problem with that and said they'd move their trucks out of the county if that happened. Is that still,
It will make a change. I've only heard from individuals and from farmers. I have
Okay.
not heard from the industrial people, but look at the number of semis on there. It's not all that great.
Well, if you look at the number of counties surrounding us that have wheel tax already enacted.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
You'd think they'd already
their
move
choices of where
everyone
they're gonna-
here.
yeah, they should have moved here,
There's no
right?
escaping it.
Yeah, the choices of where they move to are pretty slim.
Yeah,
The semi-tractor or semi-trailer?
the tractors, look at that.
The tractor,
Are there?
20.
See,
Not that many.
20
that many.
registrations. Is that what you meant? 20 registrations. Is that what you,
Yeah.
okay.
Who's the trucker that has all the black trucks? He's got a bunch of trucks. Boren, but is he in DeKalb County?
I don't know if he is or not. And the one that we did have is the one that was over at Butler that's now the Forest River.
That was Evans.
Oh, Evans, that's who I'm thinking
Yeah.
of. Boren and Evans.
Yeah,
They're pretty big truckers.
yeah,
But only 20 are registered here.
yeah. But again, these are almost a year old.
Okay.
So there may be more. But, as Mike was saying, with everybody around us having the wheel tax, you would think they'd all move their trucks here and get them registered here. So,
And it used to be probably the taxes used to be the highest cost for them, but now with fuel at $5 or $4, that's where their right real focus
absolutely.
is. So,
absolutely.
Okay.
But anyway, that was my point, Bill, is that we're asking for direction because we know we're going to have the shortfall in '25. So we want to get ahead of that. But then if you have a plan are you going to move roads from something less than a 5 up? And are you going to do anything with paving gravel roads? Because that, from what I'm hearing on my end, and you guys might be different, what I'm hearing on my end, that's pretty well split. You got a number of people that want those roads paved, and you got a lot of people that don't want those roads paved.
They don't want people on their roads. and
That's
they-
right,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
right. So, that's going to be a decision for you guys and what you plan to do with the highway department over these next few years. Now, as you've already pointed out, Todd, the council has denied this several times. I know that I've voted against it at least once, but things are different now. So now we do have some money coming in that we cannot estimate right now. Is they did extend the gas tax for an additional 2 years, which will affect those numbers. But that extension's only for 2 years, and we don't know how much of it we're going to get. So,
Well, and, we run into problems too, like this County Road 56 project due to the delays. And part of the delays were the state saying, hey, the money's not available. The
Right.
project went up a couple million. And yet they're saying, hey, we're not going to give you any more in the grant, even though it went up. You're still only getting this money here. So they're not increasing their grant any, even though the price went up. So,
Yeah.
it's tough. It's tough to budget the highway department.
it is. And whatever this gas tax or this wheel tax and excise tax on private vehicles can only be used for the roads.
Right.
We can't put it into any other project. So
Which is fine.
if you've got projects like paving roads, improving roads, County Road 56, these are perfect spots for this number. But we're gonna want to see what is the bottom line that the commissioners want. Because we'll try to work with that number, not go over it, try not to go under it, or just deny the tax altogether.
On a standard passenger vehicle, just a regular car, what's the range that
I
we can
think
charge?
it's the 25 is what they've got in there right now. That one may be able to go up to 40.
It can go to 40, is
I
that the
think
max?
so,
Yeah, I
but
think
right now, I think he's got 25
25 now?
in that
Okay.
budget. And we'll get that spreadsheet that he's got there so that we can manipulate it and get the bottom line we want. And the money that it says that the county would receive takes into account those fees that have to be paid to the BMV. That number is also on that chart.
Okay.
So there is a portion of the fee that they'll take for administration of it. So,
Okay.
so that's what I would like to see if you can get that for us by the 8th. And that'll also help us. We're meeting to do the initial meetings on the budget will happen in mid-August, so we're going to want to know those things by then also. And if I can go sidetrack a minute, because then I'll leave and let you guys be. And I already mentioned this to Andrew earlier. The opting in or opting out of the health budget, part of that law makes a couple of changes, whether you opt in or opt out. It doesn't make any difference. One, it takes one of your health board appointments from you and gives it to the council. And then secondly, it requires that the mayor of the largest city submit 3 names to the commissioners, and one of your appointments have to come from that list of names given to you by the mayor. So those need to be addressed, and I think Susan,
Which mayor, I'm sorry?
the
Largest
mayor
city.
of the largest
Auburn.
city, so the Auburn mayor.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
the county seat.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And Susan gave me the name of the next person whose term expires, but I think we need to look at all of them, and, I mean, I don't know which one you want to give up. I mean, I'm going to leave that up to you guys. But that that doesn't happen until January, so we got lots of time to work with that, so. All right,
Okay.
all right, thank you.
All right. Yes.
You guys travel. My ROI email.
What actually happened? I mean, do we have video of someone doing something they shouldn't, or what?
I was not there.
Right.
Features.
Speeches or something, so that's all that I'm aware of. But you guys had specifically asked. So I don't know, like when these,
Mm-hmm. A good point.
where
Well,
I'm going.
having, and I had an idea that we should have processed that application and voted on it. And I give up that idea when everybody seemed, but just let it go. It's just a picture, but
Yeah.
you know, that kind of opens the door to whatever happened. And I don't think we can come in here now after the fact and say, well, we're going to squash free speech. So, but we're still talking free speech. And everybody's got a right to say what they want to say.
So are you going to say, feel the same way if it's some left-wing leaning organization? I don't know, I can't think of one right offhand, but
Yeah.
you're gonna.
Or what if it's the KKK, for example, or
That's
some
the one
organization
I
that is
have a
not,
problem with. I don't have a problem
Well,
with anyone.
they're not so active as
I know, but-
anymore, but still, that's a.
Actually, that one has happened, Andrew.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
I
They
remember.
were denied the option
Yeah.
to be on the courthouse lawn.
Well,
And
Black
same
Lives-
way with the
Black Lives
gun
Matter or
people
somebody
a
like
couple of
that.
years ago
Or-
were denied.
or Some LB, whatever, whatever that alphabet soup is, but
Well, the problem you have too is, you know, it's not just the courthouse lawn. We can't keep people off the sidewalk. I watched a year and a half ago, people standing with AR-15s on our corner, you know, in an intimidating stance. So I don't want the KKK on our lawn, but then again, I side with Bill on this free speech. But the thing is, I think people need to tell us so when they want to use the property, what they're actually going to use it for, and they have to stick to it. And if they don't, then what's the point of asking? Just if you're going to do what you say you're going to do.
And that's why I think we need to follow through with the process as far as those
Yeah, I think we
applications.
probably,
Well,
yeah.
but the parameters were pretty clear. Mr. Provine said there would be no speeches, no signs, no rallies, just a picture, and that was it. So that was the information we had to process. If he'd have said, well, you know, we're going to do some speeches or whatever, then we would have processed it. So if you're going to be honest with us, if you're going to come in here and ask for something, or live up to what you say you're going to do.
I agree.
Todd, you're right in the fact that those other two groups were on the sidewalk because they were denied to be on the
Right.
courthouse lawn itself, but they could not be prevented from being on the sidewalk, and both groups chose to do that, stay on the sidewalk.
I'm the biggest second A guy you'll ever see, but standing on the corner with an AR-15 is just inviting trouble.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I couldn't believe it. I was like-
Absolutely.
I turned around and I thought, did our town just get taken over? You know, so, yeah, I think we have to follow the process, Bill, and Bill agrees that if
clean it-
someone says they're gonna do something, it needs to be what they say they're gonna do. Now, then again, that's why I asked in the email, did they set up tables? Did they have microphones and speakers up? Or was it more of just a speech that, hey, I just want to say something real quick, and, you know, they say it, you know what I'm saying?
And I don't know, because I wasn't there. I just was part of the application that was only for a picture and what Andrew
Right.
told us. And then this huge picture and this article talking about speeches. I just wanted your guys's recommendation, because even, you know, like you guys, even if you would have went through with their application and voted on it, their application only said for a picture. So then we would be back at the same place because it wasn't just a picture.
Yeah,
So,
they need to follow through.
and
I
since they
think-
come to my office,
Yeah,
I'm trying to
Yeah.
know what to do with you.
I think people need to follow through with what they say.
yeah, I think require that they be more specific.
Okay.
Yeah, and that they're told at that time that's what they need to follow, that procedure, pretty much. I mean, you're going to have some variation.
Yeah.
Because, like I say, you get the crowd together, and it was very enthusiastic. And there was no ill intent involved in that situation. There was no PA system or anything
Right.
like that. It was just,
Just impromptu kind of happened.
yeah, it was a spontaneous.
Yeah.
There was a lot of spontaneous enthusiasm
I'm
took
certainly not
place.
questioning anybody's motives or accusing anybody of any malcontent or ill content. It's just a matter of,
Yeah, I'm not
don't come in
either.
here and tell us one thing and then do something else.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll clean
And I think that's
Okay.
reasonable.
it up.
Yeah,
Clean it up.
yeah.
Well, that helps for when the applications come to my
Yeah.
office, so thank you for talking
And
about it.
what we need to tell people too is say, now you understand, by you saying you're only doing this, this is what we're holding you to. And if you do it again, if you go against the rules, you'll be denied every time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's how we handle it.
Yeah,
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
Okay, that helps. Thank you.
okay.
Okay, so the only other thing I had was your travel whenever you want to go back to that.
The
If
travel.
you want to.
We got 15 minutes, we can go back, I guess. I'm still going to stand on, I'm like you, Todd, I agree with you. If it's state called, they can, the option of using their own vehicle or the county vehicle. If it's any other seminar,
Well, the
the
biggest one,
problem
and I
with using
think,
the county vehicle is there's no accountability is what it costs us, what it
Right.
costs the taxpayers. There's no tracking of that expense.
right. And the thing
And
that
there's
I
no-
wanted to mention, Rick, when you were talking about, there's things that aren't state called that are beneficial, and I agree with that. The problem I have with that is when we end up going to New York City for things, and that's why I don't want anything to do with this travel. If that department thinks they need to do it, go ahead, but New York City's never needed for a conference, in my opinion, for this county. And
That particular training was sending that person to that conference who was then going to come back here and train the rest of the
Right.
department.
I know.
That was over and above just going for their own use in their job, but they were going to train everyone else.
Right. But there were other
And
options.
again, the other thing I'd like to mention is the fact that when the state changed the rules for the elected officials training fund, it was anything that state called or AIC sponsored.
Okay.
So if AIC sponsors it and it's not a state called meeting like the budget meeting, then it still can be paid for from that fund. But I still don't think it's fair that we would require a sheriff's deputy to take his personal vehicle to Plainfield for training. That may not necessarily be state called. Or to have the surveyor go to a school at Purdue, or Ben to go to a school at Purdue for training. Now, again, they're managers. They've got to look and see, okay, is it better if I take my vehicle rather than my 8 mile an hour, 8 mile to the gallon vehicle? He's got to use good judgment. And that's what you're paying him to use, is good judgment. So I don't think it's fair to just make it automatic that they have to use their own vehicle.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, how many employees will say, I am not putting those miles on my vehicle, period. And so.
Why
they don't
should
get-
we put those miles on our vehicle and not have
Because they're
accountability
doing
for
a
it?
job for their employer. Do you think that my employer would ever have told me I had to take my vehicle if they had a vehicle?
We're not talking about your employer.
And I agree with.
We're talking about the county. We're talking
I
about
agree with
taxpayers'
Todd.
money.
If you want to keep track of how many miles go to training, then have them submit a report quarterly, and then you'll find out.
Why shouldn't the department then, if they're going to pay or going to have these expenses for training, for mileage, reimburse the county general fund out of their budgets? And I'm told we can't do that.
And the sheriff's budget's coming out of the county general, as is the probation,
There's no accountability. There's no accountability with this, how much money is spent using our county vehicle.
and I said, I agree with Todd, have them submit a report on a quarterly basis.
And then what do we go with that? What do you do with that
That'll be
report?
your information, and then whether or not they get another vehicle. You know,
Well, that was
and
kind
I
of
bet
where-
I bet it's not that high of a percentage anyway.
That's kind of what I'd like to see in the data is how much of this is this training that's maybe not state called, but necessary or beneficial, and how much is it impacting our county vehicles? Is it 10,000 miles a year, 3,000, 50,000?
Or 250.
Yeah, we don't know, and I'd like to see that data. But I'm with Bill 100% on, I want to start tracking these expenses and making sure that the general funds just isn't just throwing money out there, because it gets spent.
But the reason you cannot add that to the budget is because say for my office, I don't have a vehicle, but say I have a vehicle and you determine that $5,000, whatever, accounts for whatever I use my vehicle for training. If you put that extra $5,000 in my budget, it either sits there and just goes back to county general, or it's there and approved if council approves it and can be transferred to anything else. So then it's not staying in county general because now it's transferred to be spent on something else. That's why you don't want to put additional in there.
So why don't we do the reporting and look at 2 or 3 quarters worth of the actual data so we can make an intelligent decision instead of just, by guess and by golly. Let's, if we've got a huge amount of county vehicle mileage racking up for training, then we can address it. If we don't, if it's a minuscule amount, why are we sweating over it?
How will we, when they go on this trip, how would they record what they're using it for? Would they keep a digital log? Would they keep a handwritten log? And what categories would we put down for the use? In other words, state called, yes, or
Well, just any
officer
kind of
training, or I mean, what do they put down?
Just education,
training,
educational travel.
training in a box for state called or not state called.
Yeah,
And
okay.
beginning mileage, ending mileage.
Or
Whatever,
instead of state called required, I think would be the.
whatever
maybe the correct-
information you guys are wanting to see, I can create a spreadsheet that everybody can use to report this information on.
I'd like to think about this a little more before making a decision, because I would like to think about how that form would be created and what, because you don't want to make it too, okay, was this, oh yeah, how about this? There's nothing worse than checking off 18 different things for something simple. But then again, I do want enough data to figure out what the vehicle's being used for.
I mean, technically, all the travel requests that you guys have had from you when you started, you have that information, it's just not on one sheet.
Right. Well, I don't really have the information of
That's the same.
But you
of the-
can,
what
but,
vehicles were used, though, so.
yeah,
that-
because
that's-
if they're not requesting mileage, then you know it's not a personal vehicle.
Well, that, or there is no mileage for that trip. They didn't even go. It was online, or they rode with a buddy or something like that. They rode with someone else, but
Right.
I don't know which departments for sure, what vehicles were used, the miles that were used. That's the data I'm looking for, is
Right.
how much are we wearing out our vehicles for this travel
Yeah, so-
versus the grand scheme of, if we're 1% of the use is for travel, I have no problem with that. If we start to see the data that 40% is for travel, I have to start wondering why we keep a vehicle for that.
Well, yeah, and I would agree with that.
Okay, how about we revisit this in a week or so, and I'll see if I can pull some data together from
Yeah,
last
if you
year
could,
and this
I'd-
year so far as to
I think that's a good idea.
what things have been through and, okay,
Whether it's
I'll put what
state
it's
called or
for.
not state called, you probably ought to get a list from those vehicles, from those departments that actually have a vehicle,
I have
and
them.
ask them, what kind of training do you normally send people to in a year's time?
Right.
So that then you can decide, is it going to be state called or some other type of thing? Now, some counties, and this county has never done this, and I happen to agree with this, they have a vehicle that's there for all of these other departments that don't have a vehicle, just to take it to different trainings and stuff. I don't know that we ever want to go there, but right now, you're only talking about departments that have a vehicle. And all of them are going to have a lot of training.
It just-
But, and they already make the decision about whether it's going to be in person or online. So,
Just thinking back over the travel requests that we've approved over the last few years, most of the training where they're using their department vehicles has been either the sheriff's department or the health department. That's where most of that's generated from. I don't remember seeing much of anything from highway or planning department or, well,
Yeah, I don't think
who else
Ben's,
has-
I don't
well,
think Ben's
even the
been
planning
there.
department, if it's Chris isn't going to use the inspector's truck.
Yeah.
He's going to take his own
I
vehicle.
haven't seen
So-
anything from surveyor, except maybe at the drainage school, and so forth, and Ben goes to road school. In fact, I don't even think he went last year, or this year, but, that's a once-a-year gig to West Lafayette, so, I really don't think there's as much mileage being racked up on these for training as we may think about.
I think most of the training that we have in a year's time is going to be in Indiana. Anything that goes out to New York or anywhere else is going to be a
Flights.
special case and is more than likely going to involve air travel. So,
The other thing to think about, we didn't put the option in there, but the other thing to think about on meal reimbursement is whether you want to continue with the meal reimbursement the way it is or go to a per diem for those traveling. That's up to you.
Yeah, good question.
I can tell you a lot of counties are at a per diem now,
What would the per diem be?
whatever you said it. I think
What's standard right now, or what are you seeing that the per diem amount is?
anywhere between 45 and 52.
Per day?
And that's.
I don't know
that's
how they
more than
came
what
up
the
with
state
their
pays
numbers.
out of that.
As I say, I don't know how they came up with their numbers because I haven't looked in that part. That's just the
Don't
fellow.
we
That'll
currently
get, that'll
offer?
get you McDonald's.
Yeah, don't we currently do $35 for
Mm-hmm.
dinner?
32
And is that for dinner, or or
It's
is that for
30
a day?
It's
day.
per day.
So
So
we're
what-
already on a per diem.
So no, we don't just give it to them.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It's
So-
if they request it and spend it,
Yeah.
then we reimburse them.
The hard part about that when auditing, like for accounts payable portion, is like there's so many restrictions that was set up on that policy, like no coffee, no Starbucks, no
Right.
stuff like that. I mean, sometimes a coffee and a snack at a gas station is somebody's breakfast, but we're telling them that we can't pay them that.
Right.
Or some people might only have a Starbucks for lunch, but we're still telling them we can't pay that because, so it's,
I like the per diem in a way. You just give them the next dollar,
Yeah.
a dollar amount. And we got to consider they're going to eat anyway, whether
Right.
they're traveling or they're at home.
I like the per diem too, and if they don't eat, guess what? They just got a raise.
They just got money in their pocket.
I don't eat lunch for that reason. I'm cheap.
it would be nice, it would
It would
be
be-
very nice for,
Yeah.
It'd
for
be
my
much easier
office, for
too.
sure, for
Yeah.
accounts payable, because I'm like Leanne, literally,
You just comb through
she's
all
got to
that.
figure it out, and did
Yeah.
they spend
Oh, yeah.
too much in one day, but they're trying to spend less in another day, and, I
I'd be
mean,
better
it's a
with the per
nightmare.
diem.
What do they call it, a per diem or an allowance?
Yeah.
A meal
Yeah.
allowance.
Here's the
whatever
money,
you call it.
do with it what you want.
Yeah, yeah.
So think about that
Yeah.
and an amount.
I like that idea
That's a
better.
hard- I think that's a
Now, look at the State Board of Accounts
I'll have to
list
look that
of
up.
their per diems and that, because there's all kinds of rules about if you leave before 7 in the morning, or
Yeah.
or, there's a rule if there's lunches provided in the seminar that you're going to.
I'd rather just make it
If
simple.
the seminar goes beyond 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so there are all kinds of rules there too. But the per diem would certainly make it easier for her. to
Well,
deal
in
with.
that way, like I said, people can choose if they want to go to that gas station and have a bear claw and a artery plugger, that's up to them. I don't care. So what, or if they want to drink alcohol, I don't care.
Then you don't have to deal with the sales tax.
Right,
Stuff, too.
yeah, we don't have to worry about
Yeah,
sales tax.
sales tax is the
and-
other one we
Yeah.
fight,
Yeah.
and I like the per diem idea.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah, we'll work through this. We'll get it figured out and ironed out.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's take a break.
Okay. Oh, it's time, isn't it?
Yep.
I think a lot of people too would be happier with a lower per diem than a fixed amount on meals that you can't have this and you can't have that. And I'd rather take a lesser amount saying, okay, I can do what I want now.
Let's set that, you can only do 15%. Tip. And so, I mean, I do a lot, I do my other portions of my tips out of my own pocket, because I never leave.
Is it my turn? Bill's turn, actually.
That has to be off.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, we're back on the clock, so I'll call us back to order, off of break. Mr. Parker, you are up.
How's everybody this morning?
We are here. Beyond that, we don't know.
Right? Well, I see the smoke made its way back to DeKalb County.
Oh, yes, oh, yes.
Oh, well, I guess it could be worse, so. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, I was just talking. Go ahead.
Just FYI, I did get Bridge 132 back out to bid. Bids are due here August 7th by 10 a.m. I do have the newest advertisement here. If you want to pass that around to Susan, she can keep that. So we'll see what we get for bids on that project. Hopefully we receive some. And the only other thing I had on business today is Bridge 17, which is on County Road 79 or the St. Joe River. That bridge was included in my budget to get an engineering firm on staff to do a rehab scope of work for that project. And I reached out to USI for that and received a scope of work and a not to exceed amount. This has been a kind of a work in process since the 1st of June. They sent me a scope of work. We met again and cut a little bit of that scope of work to got the cost down to $84,100 to do that. That scope's going to be engineering services for rehabilitation of Bridge 17. Will include approach road work, armoring the surrounding and channels of banks if required, and incidental work as required, including but not limited to design, utility coordination, environmental permitting, special investigations, bidding services, and construction phase design services. And then they did take out the construction inspection. I did put in the budget $80,000 for that project for this year. If we went with the 84-1, there's a good chance we'll be under that because this is all hourly not to exceed. Or I'm sure I'd have a little bit of cushion I could transfer from another project over to cover them funds. So that bridge has got some deck wear on top. There's probably gonna be a hydro demo on that as well. You know, it's just, bridges are expensive animals. There's just no thing about it. You gotta have engineering, structural engineer to go out there and do that, sound it, check it. This is a scope of work we really can't put together ourselves. It does need to be engineered out, bid specs, but they are expensive, so. But that's where we're at. Beth did come in today. She may be able to answer a question if you guys had something that I don't know, but I didn't know. You guys would be okay with proceeding with that? Just for instance, that bridge is 235 feet long, so it is a long bridge.
Long bridge. You come up and,
Hopefully. We did actually fly the deck already, so we use our drone technology to kind of see where the delaminations are. And it is even beyond what you can see from the naked eye. There are further delaminated areas. So that is part of our scope of this project. So putting together that report so you guys know exactly where all the delaminations are. And then converting it hopefully to semi-integral and upgrading the rail of the bridge. But yes, it is quite a lengthy bridge. So comparing some previous projects to this one is hard to say because of the timeline that this bridge was originally constructed, and bringing it up to current standards is different than some of the other ones that have been recently completed.
When will this bridge need done?
It needs done now.
It does?
I mean, well, it's not in any failure conditions, but it's a maintenance.
Right,
That
it's
needs to
a
be corrected.
rehabilitation.
What kind of money do you think we're looking at to replace that bridge?
Oh, shoot.
235 feet long, a lot of money.
Well, Bridge 9 was 109 feet, 107 feet. It was 1.3 million.
So you're,
Rick was asking about our need for money. I think we just gave him one bridge that'll take all the money.
I mean, you don't want to replace a bridge if it's not needed to be
Right.
replaced. Like if
No.
the piers and everything are good, so.
Rehabilitation work's pretty common.
So we're not ripping this bridge out and reinstalling it. We're redoing the decking or whatever needs
Yep.
repaired.
Yep.
We're not doing a full bridge
We're looking at the
replacement.
guardrail, we're looking at doing a deck mill and overlay, any possible rip wrapping underneath to help keep from scour and erosion.
So we're looking at 84 grand just in engineering to,
There's a lot of work that does go into that, though.
oh yeah, I'm not doubting that.
Yeah.
yeah, well, and that's a lot better than 3 million to replace it
Yeah.
or more.
No, I don't know what the cost estimate will be yet for construction on this.
I don't know.
Right, that'll come from our findings of
Right.
engineering.
But where is Bridge 17?
On Bridge 79, just south of County
Oh,
Road
this
40,
is the one you told me about. Okay.
south of Stafford Gravel,
Yeah, gotcha.
goes over the river.
Long bridge, 230.
River's big.
Yeah. That's the actual free span amount is 230 foot, or does that include approaches that are on,
I imagine.
Just end to end.
really?
That's total, yeah, there's other, I mean, the span isn't that, the free span isn't that long.
I don't know without having the
Yeah,
book here to
it's
pull
got
it.
yeah.
We have quite a few of them bridges that length.
Uh-huh.
Wherever the river crosses one of our roads, there's one of them there. 68's got one, 64's got one, 79.
Be cheaper just to fill the rivers in?
Probably not. Cost some dirt.
Well, I'm worried about DeKalb County flipping over. We get too many people. Well, that's a whole different story.
Let them out.
Ben, I'll need a copy of that.
Yeah, she's gonna have to get me, if we decide to proceed, have to get me the updated when I don't have a, she
Yeah,
brought it
I
with her.
did not.
I have a,
I just mean I need a copy of whatever you
So
have.
you're
I
looking
can
for
do my
us to
minutes.
authorize the not to exceed 84.1 for Bridge 17? So I'd make a motion that we accept this bid not to exceed 84,100 for Bridge 17 engineering.
A motion and a second. Comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye?
Aye. Opposed, the same.
you give me a
Motion is
new,
approved.
You.
hey. That's all I had for business for you guys today.
Wow.
Yeah, that's great, huh?
I sent everyone pictures of the drone footage to your phones, and looks like they got the footers in, and the dirt work's pretty much done from what I could see. Little bit to move here and there, but
Yeah.
they're coming along, so it's looking like a real facility.
Schedule's off a little bit here.
Did you just send that this morning?
I just sent it, no, I sent it to your phone, just to your SMS message.
Oh,
Yeah. But,
oh, there it is.
anyway, yeah, it looked like it's coming along, and are we happy with the way the rebar, did the rebar get lifted off the ground before they poured the concrete?
2 of them did, that I know for sure. The rest of them I don't know. They were supposed to have.
Okay.
I wasn't back out there to witness it. But should have been.
Okay.
We had to talk Thursday about some quality control and actually, Mr. Cruz asked me about someone to sign off the important times of events like that. And they've got it, that system, now I'm trying to think what they call it, that project manager
Yes.
login.
Yes.
But they were gonna get me a login, and that will show the daily activities along with pictures. And once I get that opened up and look at that, that might be sufficient for what we was looking for on that, or what Andrew was looking for.
Well, I was talking to Ben about the idea that in other construction projects, there's some sort of an architect or engineer that monitors it and makes sure that the building is being, built up to specs properly, and it doesn't sound like this buy, operate, transfer agreement had that in there, because I guess they own it until they transfer it to us.
Exactly.
But it seemed to me like there needed to be some sort of
Yeah,
monitoring of what's
definitely don't
going
want to
on.
end up with another
Well-
building like community corrections.
But by the same token, we engaged Elevatus
Yes,
outside of the bond agreement,
yes.
and I don't know if their scope that we originally set up with them, normally that would be somebody from Elevatus that would handle that. So maybe we need to check with,
I don't remember what they had.
I think Elevatus was more, and you're correct, but I think that was more engaged as making sure specs
I
in the
think that's what they
construction are
do.
met, but not necessarily the quality
Yeah.
of the actual, but the spec is met. In other
Because
words,
all
did
the
you-
specs, the qualities is set to Elevitus
Yes,
to verify, but as far as on-site inspection, I don't think Elevitus was.
okay.
right, that's what I'm
That
saying.
wasn't-
They set the
okay.
specs, but they don't necessarily look at
That
the,
wasn't there.
yeah.
So they look at what size of rebar is being ordered, but
Yeah.
not how the rebar is placed.
How it's placed, yeah, they're not the actual work
Okay.
done properly, and
Okay.
I think they know we're watching now, so they're, like Ben, they probably didn't think Ben would come and say, hey, that rebar's gotta be off the ground. Well, Ben knows a little bit about construction, and you can't lay the rebar on the ground, it has to be encased in the concrete, or otherwise it just pulls right out, so.
We had a decent conversation Thursday, I think.
Yeah, Ben
We wanna-
got right into it with him, and the rebar in those footers sticking into the dirt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Extending into the dirt, that's,
it's not
and
normal,
their solution, instead of cutting the rebar off, they made the hole bigger,
right?
right? Is that what they told us? Yeah.
So just a chop saw chopping it, right?
Yeah, they made the hole bigger.
well, I will say that the experience with community corrections is still pretty fresh in my mind.
Yeah, me too.
So,
That was pre my time, without having to go into the whole details, it sounds like,
You don't
the
even want to
building,
know.
okay.
Yeah,
Just a series of nightmares.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
make sure I make it a point, I'm gonna be out there more.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna make myself do it.
yeah.
I think if
That's
you go
all.
out once a week or so and just really give it a good look down,
I think like every other day, I'll.
just
always
walk
be out
around
there.
and just
yeah.
take some pictures, check mark.
Yeah.
We're not gonna catch everything.
We're
but-
not, and we shouldn't have to do that, but we're spending a lot of money out there.
Yeah, we are.
I wanna
The
make
more
sure.
we catch, the less there'll be,
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
They'll get with it.
Just the fact that we're out there, they'll understand.
Because Bill and I talked,
Be a little more cautious.
Bill's gonna stop, I'll make it a point.
And the
There-
drones, I mean, that helps.
Yeah, well, it gives us an idea what's going on at least, and
Their schedule's off.
they know I'm
with
out
it.
there once a week watching, and Ben's walking around looking at the quality of the construction.
Right.
I like the idea of taking pictures too, because that's great evidence later. I mean,
I take some
hopefully
every
we don't
time.
need any lawsuits, but pictures are good evidence.
Oh, absolutely.
Because once the walls are up or whatever, then you don't know what's behind it.
Right.
They found out real quick, Ben's very particular,
Yeah.
so.
Yep, okay.
The,
But I would say definitely take pictures almost every time that you're out there
Do.
with your cell phone. You already do, that's great.
The schedule they give us is a little off, just reference, I mean, according to this, the water line's already supposed to been underway, and it's not, there's some other stuff that's not really correct in here, so they're gonna be working on getting a better updated schedule, but as of right now, it is scheduled for certification of occupancy and project turnover January 26th of '24 is the target handover to us date.
Well, that was your favorite time of year to move, right?
It's just wonderful.
Yeah, it'll be about 4 below zero that day.
Then the other few things that I think is important you guys know is that, I was also told Thursday that Henderson has moved out
Ah.
and is done,
Oh,
so that should be finished.
wow.
FCI has contacted NIPSCO and switched electric over to them while they are occupying the building. So there shouldn't be any billing for the county on that for the time that they're in there. And then he was also going to contact the town of Waterloo for the sewer. Because there's a well there, but they do pay city sewer there, so they was going to contact them with that. And when I was out there Thursday, there's a loud noise in the building. That, I don't know if anybody else didn't hear it or what, but I researched it back to the furnace. The furnace blower motors froze up, got a loud squeal and kept kicking a thermocoupler on it, and the unit was froze up. We talked about it in the meeting. That unit's getting all replaced with a new construction inside because we're expanding and need a bigger unit. So I really didn't want to spend any funds to repair that. Because it's summer, it's not going to freeze up or anything. So FCI is going to have Pranger look at that on their dime and then see about repairing it since they're using it for their construction office. So just so you guys know that, we shouldn't be billed for any of that.
Okay.
Right.
We had a conversation about last minute construction meeting
Yes, there was.
schedule crap.
Yes, I hit that again, let him know how upset some people was, especially Jack, and my assistant made a trip out there. And meetings are scheduled out every other week for a reason, 'cause we're all busy. I know you wanted to attend and
Yes,
wasn't
I
able
did.
to. And I told him if, for one, an hour prior is unacceptable, unless, emergency, but this was unacceptable. And I think, I also asked that someone else from FCI can attend in your place, or we'll still have the meeting, we'll cover what we can without you.
Right.
Moving forward, the meetings will be on schedule that date. He apologized. So, yeah, I hit that as well, because that's,
It's a common practice to just substitute your vice president or somebody else,
Exactly.
your assistant or something, to go there and handle it if there's an emergency.
right.
I would think.
So I
You just
have
don't
another
have
one
the
on my
meeting, I
calendar
mean.
for this Thursday.
There's one this Thursday.
Okay.
There is one, I was
Yes.
going to question that because we just had the one last Thursday.
Yep,
So we're
this-
back on the original
This will
schedule.
keep us back on the original schedule.
Okay.
So if you guys want to be there this
Yeah,
week 11, that's when it is.
I will be there.
So, I can't think of anything else we really parent to you guys other than we did get all that handled as far as the meetings and changeover Brett's done, and the project's looking good. Everybody out there has been real happy with the groundwork that Crawford's done. What I seen looking around out there, it looks very good. The back was all cleaned up for the most part. Crawford was hauling out the rest of the, of Brett's material to the lot to the east. So that will be good to go when our Cameron 35 project starts. We've got a big empty spot for our millings back here now.
That's nice.
That should start any day, right?
It was supposed to. It's pushed out till the 24th now.
Is
week
it
of the 24th? Yes.
Okay.
They have till September to complete it. I was hoping sooner than later, but
I was going to say, September is not that far
they'll be
away.
here
Yeah.
before you know it. That's
You
correct.
get some rain days in there and
What are we
whatever.
doing with Old Pond area back here? I sent the pictures to your phone.
We're gonna fill it.
Is that getting filled there?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we're gonna-
because we got a okay to fill that, right? From, yeah.
I didn't want Brett to fill that in because I didn't want all the stuff that should have been hauled off placed in there.
Yeah, because he would have thrown it all in the hole.
And I didn't know what type of leftover construction material we may have that might be a spot for us to get rid of the dirt, excess
Sure.
stone junk.
Makes sense.
And then, that gives us a spot to dump when I don't have a spot to get rid of things. It's full.
Because I'm going to say that's a good 3/4 of an acre there, so maybe that whole big area with all the
It's a
green there.
decent little spot there,
It's
yeah.
good size. I mean, it's kind of foolish not to use that land,
Right.
so,
So it won't take us long.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's certain times that we're always looking for a spot to dump. When it's too wet, we can't get
Yeah.
in. That would be kind of nice to have temporarily.
Yeah, I like that.
And I don't think it's really going to hinder us too much. We still have a lot of area
Sure.
here and over through here.
Yeah, yeah. It's just, it makes it so much more usable, this area, to have that,
Well, you have to go around it.
go around it, yeah.
I also talked to them out there Thursday as far as once all that material's done out back, I want to know exactly what they need out front, and then that back portion, as time allows, I'm going to start hauling some of our stuff over there.
Oh, okay.
Some of our pipe and some of our stuff that don't necessarily have to be stored here.
Get a jump on it,
That way I
right?
can get a jump on it and get some pilings and stuff set to stockpile our pipes and
I like that
maybe
idea.
move some of our old blades and some things over there that we gotta have, but if it will be out of the way, that will just help me that much more.
Sure,
Yeah. Cause I don't know, Auburn's got a new mayor coming in.
Right.
I don't know what their planning is, or how hard pressed they're gonna be wanting in there, and not know what type of winter will be. I just don't wanna, anything I can get ahead on, I'm hoping so. So after our chip seal this year, I've got pipes scheduled, but it won't take all my crew to do all the pipes. So I wanna start working on some of that after chip seal's my plan, if we got room.
Yeah, yeah. Anything we can do to help, you let us know.
And then I need to talk to you guys or figure out, we gotta get some shelving purchased for that inside. And if we gotta order any of that, we gotta get some of that figured out, because I don't have enough, what we have isn't very good. And we're gonna have to buy some, or if we're gonna build some, and just kinda plan ahead.
When you say build, are you talking wood or are you talking metal or?
We could on some of it. I don't know any type of OSHA standards or anything, nothing. We gotta be careful as far as load ratings and things on stuff we get, just because of the type of business we are. If we ever get inspected, I just wanna make sure we're covered on that. I have no problem with building stuff, but I don't wanna get dinged on it later. That's why we always bought the metal rackings. It's got a load rating stamp
Yeah.
on them, you know.
Like anyone even measures the weight of stuff they put on those shelves, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But there's one there.
I know, I understand. It's like the warning labels from California, so.
I just remember that we had a mezzanine there in Waterloo Street Department. We built it. We just had a little bit of stuff up there, and they nailed us on. We had to have a load rating sign on that
Really?
and posted.
And you do, no way of knowing what the load rating is.
Not really.
No, not really.
No, not up there. We didn't. We just kind of guessed it and put a number up there, and that it pleased him. But
Measure the floor from the ground, and when the floor sags too much, hey, we're at the load rating, stop.
right. So I just don't want to have no issues with that. Maybe I'm a little cautious on it, but I just remember that from and that was the IPEP insurance guy come around.
Oh, really?
Pinged us on that.
Yeah, they're pretty vigilant. They get out there and,
Knock on wood, I haven't seen one since I've been here, but he used to stop at Waterloo about every other year. He got him sidetracked on golfing or something, he wouldn't look around too much, but otherwise he was pretty stingent on looking, so,
I have a couple questions.
okay.
On this notice to bidders, is this supposed to say that they're going to be received in my office or the commissioner's office? It says
Should
commissioner.
be your office.
It says commissioner's office. Did it go
And I
out yet?
missed that. Yeah, it went out.
Okay. All right.
It's
that's
got your
fine.
address though, right?
Yeah.
it'll still get here.
I
just-
think it'll be okay, and this, yeah,
And then
that's a good question, but I think it'll
I
be
think,
okay.
Todd, you were going to go out and look at the cameras, like placement. Are we doing anything
did
with
that.
this?
We already did that. We've made the changes, consulted with Jack, the whole bit. You're talking for the highway department, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we eliminated 4 cameras or 5 cameras.
So Jack should be getting a new quote for the cameras.
Yeah, he's gonna
Yeah.
get us a new quote then.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep,
Any spare time.
I will,
Yeah.
I will watch for that and come back.
yes,
Okay, thank you.
yep.
It's a layout. Cameras.
Oh,
Yeah, because the rest of the hardware was already ordered for the entries and the door pipes or whatever it was we was getting.
sweet.
I think we started out, how many cameras? We're down to 12 now. We started out with
Oh,
30,
geez.
or something like that. Original,
Overkill.
yeah, originally it was,
Well, and some people's, it's good in some aspects. It just
Sure.
depends what you need or want. I mean, that was throughout the inside and outside facilities, and I don't think it's warranted for us to have all that. I didn't begin with.
necessary.
I mean, me and Bill, we went through that and took quite a bit out.
yeah.
First time you opened that up, I about had a fit.
Yeah. Couldn't go anywhere without being on camera.
Yeah.
It had more cameras, than-
Highway version of the Truman Show.
it had more cameras than the central, community corrections.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
More cameras, community corrections.
And then you guys made a comment to me about the County Road 56 project. Was there anything you wanted to cover on that today?
the money, the grant match that we have to come up with. And I think we're all agreed we're going to have to probably dig into ARPA funds to do that.
The way I think we're going to be able
I
to
don't
do
think we
it,
have the
since they
choice.
put us on the elevator, it's hard for us to,
Yeah. And there are some areas there we can pull from, I don't think with too much problem.
whatever we got to do, I guess we'll do it.
I wish I could give you a better number, but until it's bid and I get a confirmation from NDOT will contribute, we're kind of, at the end of the day, I know we don't want to, but we can reject it. They don't want to participate or can't. We'll have to bid at a later date. I've never really done that on a federal aid process. I don't know how that works. We'll just set for another year or 6, 8 months, and we bid it again when NDOT says they can contribute more funds. There's got to be some options. I just don't know what they are for sure.
I got a good feeling on that part of things when I met with NDOT last week. So, well,
He did tell me they have not turned away anyone yet for contributing up to 80% of the construction cost.
yep,
They've been able to keep everyone covered.
Really?
yeah. And she said she did 9 projects the week before, and they all sold completely, so.
And we bid that when?
January 24. This coming
January, got to wait till January. So we're kind of in limbo until January on what it's
Little
actually
bit.
going to
A
cost.
little bit.
Okay. Well, hopefully.
I hope. It's a lot of money to not really know for sure which direction we need to go.
Right. And no way of anticipating what the bid's actually going to be
Yeah,
close to the
that's the
estimate.
problem.
Yeah.
The nice thing that we have here is that we have some really big area contractors that are local that I think will help us on our costs substantially. That is a benefit we have. So
Yeah.
that's why I feel decent or pretty good about the cost. I think are going to be lower than the engineer's estimate, but by how much, I don't know for sure.
Hope so.
2 million would be nice.
Anything
I don't know if
else?
it'd be that much.
Anything else for Ben?
Good.
Okay. Thank you, Ben.
Yep, thank you guys.
Have a good week. Mary, you are up. Grab that mic, turn that mic on, blue light.
Yep, right there. Mary Deal, 5113 County Road 54.
Thank you, Bob.
How about?
Yeah, I made that one for Andrew if you wanted to review it. We're here today just to kind of update you on what's going on at the trail and how that's been going. We've been working on the trail, but it's not open or anything yet. We've kind of left those areas not exposed for people to enter and exit yet. So some mowing. Tuesday, I have a gentleman coming. He's a native plant person. He's going to be doing an inventory along the trail of our native plants and I'm sure invasive plants as well. So we'll see what we're getting into when he shows up. Today, mainly, we're here to talk about access to the trail. I took some pictures and kind of diagrammed it for you a little bit. On the upper left-hand side is a good representation. We have an enter and exit on the DNR property, which is on the left-hand side. And then the right-hand side would be right off of Mill Street. And we had been out there not long ago and talked about some options for that, but we can talk about that in a little bit. And then obviously you can see the bridge. Per our land use agreement with the state, they do not want us to impede any parking in their area for their boaters and things like that. And a lot of the boaters use that area. They pull in, like that photo I took, and right there is the entrance and exit. That was one of their main things when they talked to us. They didn't want a bunch of cars down there accessing the trail. And of course, we want to utilize the parking that we have at the bridge for the trail to kind of separate that. In order to do that, we are wanting to install steps down to the trail in between the two bridges. I went and talked to Chris Gallmer. There's no permits required for that. We don't have to contact DNR because it's not, if we put the steps that way, it's not leading to the river. It's just accessing the property between the two bridges. I was concerned about that, thinking that DNR would have to be involved. It's not where we want to put the stairs. We would be utilizing already the little entrance to the, I call it the overlook, little boardwalk there. And like I said, we had been out there and he looked at that. And I don't know if you want to add anything to that or.
Is there any ADA compliance issues with stairs versus a ramp or anything?
What I've done some research on all that. Basically, what this is a nature trail. And that's simply what it is. No different than an acres land trust.
All right.
Okay. So just as my mom is in a wheelchair, I know I'm not going to take her on this nature trail.
I got you.
To appease some people, you know, we have a big following on the bridge page. Even if I'm just posting photos of the trail, that people have access. They still have access, even if they can't walk it or physically able to get on the trail, they still have a way to see what we have to offer on the trail. Photos of native plants, a photo of a sign that has some educational things on it. So if those are posted somewhere in public for people to see, and we have an area on the bridge too that we post notifications or historical information. So we can offer that, which would meet the requirement of accessibility for certain people. So I have reached out to the Garrett High School, and they have the building trades program, and they are willing to partner with us and build those stairs for us. So, yep. I thought it would be nice to kind of expand beyond the eastern side and kind of get some maybe students involved to educate them, and maybe they have a little bit of vested interest in it then, and that sort of thing. So, but I did go talk to Chris Gallmer. He said basically the only thing I have to do is ask your permission and whether you agree to that or not. And if you don't agree, I don't know what a plan B would be at this point. I mean, we can explore that. I didn't want to put any stairs on the state side, because they could tell us to vacate it in 30 days, just like our land use agreement with the county. I feel it'd be easier to work with the county than it is the state. I don't want to put any monies into that property. So that was my thought.
To the mic, yeah. We got to get you recorded.
The other reason for putting the stairs on that side is it's the downstream side, which means there would be less pressure on the structure in flood time.
Yeah.
It would be protected as opposed to the other side where it would be under pressure.
Yeah. Any questions or comments from Mary?
Okay with that.
Yeah.
Mary did reach out to me. I did go out and meet with her husband and Bob. This picture on the front page on the left, we've offered to cut the guardrail and put a wrap on there for their entrance and exit. I can post pedestrian crossing signs there. I think that would be fine. I know she's done a lot of work on the ADA compliance. See, we are held a little bit different standard than like Acres Land Trust. I believe that's a private. We're not. We are governmental, public accesses. This is a trail.
Right.
The stairs are always a little bit concerning because of liability, people falling or whatnot. But they do have an ADA access down here at the other end. So worst case, she could post that sign down here at grade crossing 500 feet to the west, something, or at grade entrance possibly. I understand the steps there. I think it's important to get people to want to use it. And I appreciate what they're doing and everything. And stairs are always just a little bit concerning to me for liability, especially when they're wood or slippery or things like that. Maybe if we did some grip step, some type of something on there for a grip, just to help protect everyone, I think should be fine.
One thing we'll have to address is leaves in the fall. collect on those steps and they get wet, and then they are really, can be really slick. And you lose the traction no matter what's on the step underneath. Those leaves
Oh,
are
yeah,
still,
yeah.
are still a problem if there's a lot of leaves on them. So that may,
Right, yeah.
the
In my
maintenance-
opinion, currently, I mean, we have tens of thousands of visitors out there a year, and what they are currently doing is going down a rocky bank.
Yeah.
They are already accessing these areas, they're climbing over guardrails, so I think offering these stairs would actually be a safer alternative to what we currently have going on.
I agree.
I mean, I think we're at a bigger liability right now than when we put steps in.
Although they're doing that kind of at their own risk
Right.
because it's not a designated area that
Right.
they are following, where when you put steps in, that's designated for their use.
Right.
So that kind of shifts the liability back.
Yeah, it does, but it doesn't. It's just like you put a fence around your pool, and if someone jumps over it and drowns, you're still responsible, so, you know.
Yeah,
Mary
it's,
did send me the agreement she had with you guys and some stuff she had on ADA, and just so Andrew's okay with that and on the ADA compliance day, we should be fine.
That was my only concern, make sure we're not getting into trouble federal level with ADA. I don't think we will. Being it's a
Well,
trail.
I've never had to research the issue out. I mean, I can research it a little bit, or I don't know if you guys have, I assume it would be maybe even on some federal website regarding the ADA that there's exceptions for trails or,
Really,
You'd think there'd have to
if
be.
we were advertising that we were making it an accessible trail, then we would have to comply with all those. Since we are not advertising that it's an accessible trail or making an attempt to make it an accessible trail. That's how I read it.
can you send me whatever you were reading there? Yeah, I don't know.
It was just a Google search.
Just a
so I
Google
don't-
search, yeah. I can do some checking on that just to make, it makes sense to me, but I'll make a note to at least check that out.
Okay.
I pulled a lot of the data I had, and I couldn't find anything that specified really designating on this. I mean, it bounces around. They really don't just give you a specific area, this is what it's got to be. You know, it's kind of notes all over through it. Because it even goes down to like a harder surface that people can wheelchair across, and then it talks about a mulch surface, and I really couldn't define anything that particularly
Like
fit
Mary
this
Mary
exact.
said, though, I mean, this is a trail. You're not going to expect a wheelchair to be able to, I mean, think of all the parks you've went to that rock climbing, or the trails where you climb up mountains. I mean, those aren't ADA accessible, so,
Right.
I mean, there has to be some
Currently,
common
right
sense.
now, the Acres Land Trust, I believe they're taking one trail near Cedar Creek, and they are designating that as a handicap accessible. So they are then, you know, they have a lot they have to comply with and things like that. So,
Because I even pulled up state parks, their trails are all dirt. You know, I tried to find what they had in there, and that's why I said, I just want to make sure that we was covered on it, because I like what they're doing, I think it's good for the community, and I've heard a lot of positive, and they've worked really hard on it.
Yeah, I'm
and I had the same concerns you have, and I've been looking and I found the same thing you did. I could pull something from somebody's meeting down in Fort Wayne or up in Oregon, or, you know, you kind of start to try to piece it together, but there's no hard and fast, like,
Not that I was able to.
here it is. That's what I was hoping for, but just kind of, you know, looking and trying to piece together something. But
I think we're good.
good with it.
Parking is going to be,
on the east side of the bridge.
cross over the bridge.
Yep, which they already are sharing the roadway anyways to get to that area. So,
That makes sense.
yep.
One thing we might, or you might be able to do to help appease the state, maybe if we put a sign in that parking lot, say parking for nature trail here.
Right.
Yeah, I would say at the top of the entrance to that
Yep.
public access.
That way you can at least tell the state if they are parking down there, so we have it posted, they're supposed to park here.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yep. And we've ordered signage already with the trail rules on it, and that we'll be adding other signage. And one place I wanted to post was at the top of the stairs there, an area, or even at the bottom. We'll see how that pans out. But oh yes, we are almost done designing the historic sign. I only made 2 copies of that. They can pass them. We're going to be installing a historical interpretation sign on the trail. And that's what it's going to consist of. We are going to put it down to an area called the Mill Race, which will be near where Ben was talking about opening and closing that guardrail, or opening that guardrail for us, to educate people on, what exactly are they looking at and what was in that area. The Mill Race, a portion of it is still there, and it was hand dug by the Irish immigrants from Ohio that were digging the canal. So that's still present. And that's where that sign will be, and kind of show them in relation where the grist mill and the sawmill were at. The ruins are still visible on the sawmill and the grist mill. The grist mill is on private land, so people won't be permitted back there. That land is posted, and nobody would really know how to get back there unless they wanted to.
Pretty neat, 1840, huh, for the sawmill?
Yep.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's really neat.
1840.
Yeah.
He was showing me the waterway. It went down through there for that water mill, and
Yeah,
there's a lot of neat stuff down there.
that's neat.
Our main objective and goal, of course, is the 150th that we're going to have on September 16th. We're trying to get some of these things done. I don't think the stairs can be done by then. I've been in contact with the instructor over there, and I was just really waiting for today's meeting to see if I didn't want to put any more effort into that if it wasn't a viable option for us. So, but I'm hoping to have the historical signage placed by the 150th. People could still view it then. And if not placed, then we can have the plaque there for people to view.
That's September. Are there any functions on the bridge this year?
We were hoping for to have church on the bridge on Sunday, like a church service Sunday afternoon. I have not been able to find anybody to conduct that at this time. That's one thing I don't do. So I'm not going to lead a church service. So we'll see. But other than that, the bridge will be open on Saturday. There's a lot of activities. I have the Raptor people coming. Jeffrey the Bald Eagle will be there. I'm excited about that. So there's other things. And then Ken Washler, he is a Civil War collector in our county. He has collected Civil War artifacts from all of our veterans in DeKalb County, and he rarely shows his collection to anybody, and he has agreed to bring it out, and I'm gonna have him under a big tent, and he'll be able to show his collection, but that's worth coming out for.
What date did you say that was?
September 16th. And I've already talked to Ben's scheduling lady, so they're aware of that. I think I called back in January or February. I did have, Ben may be interested in this. I was at a trail meeting with some people from Fort Wayne. Of course, their trail systems are way over, but I thought maybe I could glean a little bit of information from attending a meeting. But there was a gentleman there named Matt Peters, and he does the traffic studies. And I asked him, just out of curiosity, if they'd ever done a traffic study over the covered bridge. And he went back in his records. He initially said maybe 2011, and then came back and told me that he was mistaken. So he asked me if I wanted one, and he came out and did a traffic study over the bridge, which is great because that's going to give us more solid numbers that we need. The only thing is he did the traffic study Tuesday, May 30th to Thursday, June 1st. So Tuesday to a Thursday. I was kind of hoping over the weekend, but even those numbers give you a good idea how many visitors we have to the bridge. We consider every vehicle that comes across the bridge as a visitor. They have to consciously come off the main road and visit the bridge, and some people just drive over the bridge, some people park and walk over, but vehicles crossing the bridge are considered visitors to that area. So the number he had, and if you figure in weekends and that, definitely hit 100,000 or more in the bin. And that's just vehicles. There could be 3 people in the vehicle. I don't know. It's, we'll never get an accurate solid number, but something to give us ideas when we apply for things and things
Does
like
that include buggies?
I don't know if it does. I don't think the traffic, I don't know how to read it very well, but so.
Average is 157 a day.
What else you seeing, Ben?
You can give this to Ben too. I have Matt Peters' business card if there's any further questions. He was very accessible through email and that, so.
Matt's a great resource, especially on trails. He's part of our Pocobosh Trail
Okay.
group too.
Yeah, he was in the meeting and I was listening to him talk, and so it wasn't necessarily about the trails, but I'm like, hey, can we get a number? There's something solid I can go off of? So he was agreeable to that.
Good, good. Any questions or comments?
Appreciate all the work you do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys do a good job down there. I appreciate it. Seeing the painting underneath and
Yeah. This is nice to go. I was down there by myself yesterday working. It's just nice and peaceful and beautiful place that is becoming more and more recognized, not just on the state level, but nationally. So that's exciting. So.
Yeah. Right.
I mailed you my dinner on the bridge reservation.
Oh, yeah, dinner on the bridge. Is that the 16th of August?
Yeah.
I can't remember. I'm not in charge of that. Somebody else is. 19th, okay. So.
Still have a few openings, I think.
about full then, huh?
5 o'clock.
Yeah.
So it is okay to proceed with the steps, is what you're saying?
Yes,
Yes, okay.
Yes.
All right.
definitely.
All right, and we'll keep you posted on that progress too.
Okay.
And then maybe have Ben out when that gets started to kind of
Yeah, guardrail.
collaborate together on that. So, all right, thanks, Ben. Thank you.
Good day.
On that guardrail, we have to put cut a piece out and then put additional post in, or what?
Yeah, I'm gonna wrap it. I'm gonna cut it and I'll buy some, I don't remember the radius of it. I can buy bent ends from Specialties down Fort Wayne. And put them on there. Cause I don't want no blunt end there, so we'll wrap
Right,
it.
right. You
Then put
gotta curl them back.
It'll cost us a little bit, but it won't be bad. We'll do it, so we won't have to hire it done. Yeah, we'll have to push a couple posts in the back, move one closer to the cut.
Right, right.
It won't be bad. I've actually got a plan to do it here soon, hopefully,
Oh,
if weather allows, along with my chip seal and everything else, so. I was planning on making at least 8 foot or 10 foot. 10 foot, okay. I can make it 8 foot. I don't think there's any restrictions on it. I was planning on, with the radius goes in, it'd be 10 foot between those two. We could shorten it a little bit. That's what I was thinking anyway.
yeah, maybe the 8-foot would be better. The
I
gaps.
could, I can make it that.
It'd still comply with official trail width.
You know, even 8 foot, you know, you're still gonna be able to drive like a side-by-side or something through there. That's the thing.
Yeah,
'Cause a lot of them's 50 inches wide, some of them 60 inches. Well, some even wider than that, but the smaller gators and things, they will fit through an 8-foot opening.
I see a lot of times they put a post in the middle of them. So they can't drive through there.
We could do something like that, or maybe even post their sign in the middle of it.
Yeah, put a post and the sign, yeah.
I mean, if they're gonna access it, they're gonna get in at some other point.
Yeah, this is true.
But-
Don't make it too easy for them, though.
Right. Yeah, because that's all open along 68 to get down in there, and
Yeah. Yeah.
Wouldn't be the first time.
I just didn't want it to be appealing for a car too much.
Right. 10-foot might be a little bit.
I was using that because that's like the general rule for what they're doing on the trails now.
Yeah.
I can make it smaller.
Yeah.
I can go 8 foot.
Why don't we do that?
Do that.
Okay, anything else? I think we're done.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
I contacted Chris and had him come over
Oh,
early.
Oh,
Maybe we could flip.
nothing wrong with that.
Tracy here, though.
Oh, she just walked in. Yeah.
We'll start Tracy early then.
yeah, might as well.
You could be early.
Sorry, Chris. I was trying.
Good morning.
Morning, Tracy.
Okay. I sent in the agenda.
Is that mic on?
Nope. Is
There
it
we go.
now?
Yeah.
Okay,
now I
perfect.
gotcha.
I sent in the agenda for the second quarter update for DART this year. I apologize. I forgot to tell Rod that I was on the schedule for today, so he's not here with me as the commissioner's appointee. He's at the lake, so I did not bring him back from there for this. We've lost 3 drivers this quarter. We had one of our drivers retired after 12 years. So, and then we've had a couple of other that's just retired fully. I did interview one this morning. We have 2 others that we're trying to add on. We're down to about 12 drivers right now, which we were at 16. So we have about 3 or 4 in the works of replacing that we have sent a few out for getting their physicals and getting started. Our compliance review with NDOT is scheduled for next Wednesday, the 26th. We need to have a commissioner there present. I did send Susan the time constraints for that. I can't remember exactly what time it is, but the agenda and the time paperwork was sent to the auditor to have the specific times. I think it's like 10:30.
10:30 to 12.
Yeah, it's like right until
I
noon
did-
to have you
I
present.
did see that.
Okay,
Yeah.
and will you be able to be president or
Yes.
present for that?
Yes, I will be.
Okay, perfect.
It's on the 26th.
Yes, yes. I'm not sure, this is my first one, so I don't know what all they have you do there, but I'm sure they'll have questions and just want you to be part of the review.
I will be there as well.
Oh, wonderful.
I was there for the last one.
Okay, good, good. Well, you'll have a little bit more of an insight of what we'll be doing than me.
It's all right.
I'm a little nervous because I've never done it before. I thought it maybe was a few hours, and then I found out they come at 9 and they leave at like 4:30. So I'm like, oh, this will be interesting. But I did want to tell you, I got an email from them, from the manager, Todd Jennings, and it had a huge kudos in it. And I saved it because I felt really good about it. And he said that we are above and beyond further along than many managers that have been doing this for a long time. So he just wanted to send a thank you to us.
I did see
that
that
we have
also.
all of our ducks in a row. So I was pretty excited about that. We did get our 2 low floor minivans. We got them a few weeks ago. I did send in the grant application for that. Susan should have that as well for you to sign today. Basically, that's just stating that, yes, we did say we were going to pay for that. That's for us to get reimbursed for that purchase. I also brought the title work with me today for those 2 vehicles. I've not purchased vehicles yet in the 2 years I've been there, so I don't know if I take that to the BMV first, get our plates, and then deliver those to you. If
Yes.
that's how the process works,
Do you have
okay.
the titles with you?
I do.
Can I see them real quick?
Yes,
Just make sure they're filled
absolutely.
out. I want to make sure you don't waste a trip.
Perfect, thank you. Yep, I brought those because I know I can always count on you to help me with this kind of stuff.
Make sure they're filled out.
And those just need to be titled in the commissioners, DeKalb County Commissioners, yeah.
Yep, DeKalb County Commissioners. So did they, and they gave you, these are for the conversion, obviously. Did they give you also paperwork showing that you did not pay sales tax?
Yes, I have that whole bundle on my desk for when I go
Take-
over there.
Take that with you.
Take it
also.
with me?
You
Okay.
take every, yeah. 'Cause
Everything?
they require a form.
Okay. And then what about the warranty information on that? Do you have any information that you can share with me? Do I file warranties on those
No,
vehicles?
that all comes with it, and it transfers to the next owner automatically if you would sell it and still under warranty, so that's, you're
Okay.
all good there. Now,
Okay,
any accessory warranties, I assume these are wheelchair accessible?
yes.
that might be something you might want to read your paperwork to see if you have to register, but for the vehicle itself, that's all covered under the manufacturer automatically. You don't have to-
Okay.
They go by the VIN, they could care less who owns it,
Okay.
so you're good
I know
there.
Janice was asking me, and I said, I'm sure once I get up there, I can ask Todd and everyone here, and you'll be able to direct me a little more in that.
But you, unlike the accessory warranties, you'll want to dig into that, make sure you don't have to register.
Make sure we don't have anything else. Okay, perfect.
Okay,
Perfect.
before we go further, I need a motion and a second for the president to sign the minivan replacement, saying that, yes, we said we would buy it, that she explained.
So moved.
Thank you.
Mike just seconded it.
Second.
Okay, motion second.
Thank you.
I can read people's minds.
Only Bill signs it.
I know, I was just looking at this.
In the blue.
And in blue.
In the blue
Yep.
ink.
In the blue ink, yes.
So we have a motion and
I've
a
caught
second
myself.
on the floor. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carries.
We were pretty excited when those got delivered with all the nice new updated push button doors.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to make life a lot easier for some of the drivers to have the side doors are all automatic. It already has the backup cameras and everything in it. So that was fantastic. We do have it scheduled to switch over the cameras since we have camera units in all the vehicles. So we're switching the ones from the two that we're going to dispose of into the new vehicles. That happens this Thursday. So I guess the next thing that I will bring to your attention will be when we're ready to sell those vehicles. I've got a list of people who are interested. So I believe I just get fair market value or the Blue Book value on those, turn that into NDOT, and then they tell me what I need to accept for it. It can't be above or below a certain amount. I've sold one, but that was right when I first started, so I got to look back at my notes on that. The other thing that I wanted to kind of ask your guidance on, we have cracks in the parking lot that we need to have filled. I thought if there's any thoughts or ideas, my first estimate that I received on that, just to have the cracks filled, some of my drivers were saying, which is another not my expertise area, but I'm relying on their information. When your cracks get water in them and then it starts to buckle and then you have a larger problem than what you have to begin with. So we got an estimate from a company out of Angola for our first one, and that was $14,000. And that was just to fill the cracks, reseal it, and reline it. So I don't know if that sounds about where we're going to be price-wise. If there's any ideas from you on someone local I could contact?
Asphalt Authority.
Asphalt Authority.
Younger gentleman, he was doing the car lot for about 30% less than the next highest bidder. He did our church for 50% less than the next highest bidder, and his work is phenomenal.
Wonderful.
Oh, thanks.
Is that a local company
Yeah,
here?
I think he has a Fort Wayne number. If you Google it, though, you'll find him right away, or go on Facebook Marketplace, you'll find him.
Okay.
I don't have his name here, but super nice guy.
Okay.
Just as honest. He'll come out and give you an honest quote. He'll restripe, he'll seal the cracks, he'll
Okay.
seal it, and I have a feeling it's gonna be cheaper than the quote you just told me. 'Cause
Okay.
I know about how big your parking lot is.
Yeah, it's large.
That quote's high, though.
Okay. I know even for like plowing for salt
Yeah.
through the wintertime, it's expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Because we have a big area, but that's just something with seniors, with drivers,
Yeah.
with the vehicles going in and out that we have to stay on top of. So I want to address it.
I haven't seen your cracks, but I've been on that parking lot quite a bit lately, and I can't imagine that whole parking lot would be over 10 grand.
Okay.
Because the church, the Auburn Baptist Church, was every bit as big as your parking lot, and I think it was 8 or 9 grand.
Okay.
So
Okay. So at least I know that that's not unheard of when I
Yeah.
start getting those in.
No, yeah, I didn't
Okay.
surprise me that you got a $14,000 bid, but I think you're gonna be under 10.
Okay, okay, wonderful, thank you. Okay, and then getting into the quarterly invoice for NDOT. I have,
If you sent any of this, I didn't get any of this.
you didn't?
I only got the information for this van
I know.
replacement.
I thought you sent it to me. I looked at your numbers that came through.
It would have been a page with the fare totals and then a page with transportation totals that I sent out. And then I always send the invoice for them to sign, which I have an original copy here of each.
Okay, so I don't have any of it, and it could have been when we had email.
Oh, I forgot you
But
did
I don't have
say.
any of that, so I'll need
Copies of it?
what you have.
I can just leave this all with you, Susan.
Okay,
I can leave this all with you
okay,
because I have copies at the office.
okay, thank you.
So it looks like our fare totals income for April to June 2023 was $21,039.25. Extra revenue for advertising services, we didn't have any in that quarter. And then our sales tax rebate, we had $699.22. That advertising services is just if we would decide to wrap the vans with advertisers again. I had someone call this morning. I told them maybe down the road I would think about that, but for some reason Meg was not interested in doing that anymore. But to me, it's worth looking into again. I don't know what all that entails, but we haven't done anything with that yet. So our total income for the quarter was $21,738.47. Our transportation expenses for the quarter was $159,629.89. Once we minus the revenue out of what the expenses were. We had a few high expenses this time, and of course, it's always in that fuel and lube for direct transportation was $11,000 for the quarter. Other than that, we didn't have any major repairs this time. The last quarter, it was those transmissions that we were repairing, and we have put it in our service agreement now to have those transmissions flushed, as Todd had suggested. So we are looking very well right now. We're getting ready to get our next disbursement of 5311 funds will be coming into us. I think she said usually about 30 days that it takes for that to come to us. We did pay for those two vehicles up front until we get the information signed today, and then we'll go back and reimburse. So, anyone have any?
So on the vehicles that you're getting rid of,
Yes.
how soon, I have the one title. I don't know about the other title.
Yeah, the other one, once I talked to you this morning, I dug into it. I have that marked in my sheet as a 5310 funded vehicle, and I don't think that those came through the commissioners because that was a different type of funding.
Okay,
So since you cover the 5311 funded vehicles, this was 5310, and it was back, I don't know if it tells me when it was purchased, but I noticed it was under different funding, and I'm wondering if that's why.
okay, so are you, the one I do have, are you wanting them to sign off on it today and you have this title, or are you wanting to come back when you're closer to selling it?
I would like to, well, I guess it doesn't really matter to me. I have 5 people in line, so whenever we're ready to dispose of that and I get the okay through NDOT, I would like to just move forward so that we can get that out the door. But it doesn't matter to me, honestly, if they sign it
So,
today or if they wait.
Commissioners, are you ready to agree to sign this title so they can get rid of it when her process goes through, or do you want them to come back?
Only, just from a legal standpoint, when you sign a title off, you're guaranteeing the miles that are on it and the date of the sale and everything. And I would just caution you, when you pre-sign something, you have now a signed open title, which can leave up some liability later if something gets written in there wrong. I wouldn't sign it until you're ready, because you have you have by law 45 days to give the title to the new owner.
Okay.
I wouldn't sign it until we make the deal.
So we make the deal.
Open
Okay.
documents are never good to have as far as ownership.
That makes sense to me. Yeah.
Okay. I will make a note of that. That
Hard
is
to hear.
perfectly fine with me.
Just in case.
Never know.
And is that, I'm sorry, is that different because it's going to somebody else where Like the sheriff ones, we signed because they're going to auction?
We still shouldn't sign them until the vehicle's sold, in my opinion. Now,
Okay.
when they're going to auction, it's the same thing. The auction gives you 2 weeks to produce title, and then they charge you a $50 fine if you don't get it to them within
Okay.
the 2 weeks, but you still have 45 days to give the title to the next owner.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So really, I just have the two invoices for you to sign today. The one is for the operations of the 39,412, which is our portion of that quarterly applied local match. And then the $14,145 is for the 2 low-floor minivans that we purchased. So I have these 2 invoices to turn in for you to sign.
Okay, so they just did the low-floor minivan one.
Yes.
So I just need
You
the
just
other
need
one.
the one for the,
Yeah. Yep. Thank you, and you can have that one. I actually had an extra one, so I just had him sign that one. So now I need another motion for the second quarter invoices.
It's for Bill only, right?
Yes.
For the president to sign the second quarter invoice.
A motion and a second. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carries. I will sign.
okay. The last thing that I wanted to ask, real quick, part of my paperwork for the 5311 site review has me turn in a statement stating how the commissioners are involved, what your involvement is with the DART program, and how you oversee that. So I had planned on adding in there that we do our quarterly and when those are scheduled each quarter. I didn't know if it would be helpful to have a time where maybe we invite you out to look over the fleet, ask any questions. I know they say they really like it when the commissioners make maybe even just an annual visit to the DART garage and the building. If there's anything that you want to look at or ask questions about or checking out any of the vehicles. I didn't know how you'd want to proceed with something like that, but they're asking me for it, and I didn't have anything in the plans. So I wanted to have something to turn in with them, whether it be something like after the third quarter, we have you come out and just do like a site tour. I don't know if you had done that in the past prior to myself, and if you would like to do something like that moving forward.
What do you think?
Fine, I don't have a problem with
Okay.
that.
When Jan was here and we had the review, it was one of the commissioners, I don't know who it was
I went out
supposed to
one
go
time.
out. Yeah.
I went out.
Because I know you'll be out for the site review in July this year, but I'm thinking moving
Next year.
forward, if it would be even just an annual where you could come out and just make sure that your
Start in
investment.
24, is that what you're saying, or this year yet?
I would say in 2024, since you'll be there on the 26th.
Yeah.
And then that
All
way,
three.
You'll be there on the 26th anyway for that signing,
yes,
so you could do your inspection while you were there. And just once a year.
Once a
maybe
year
during the
after
same
that.
time, just do it again.
Okay.
because we'll do that site review every 4 years. So I think on the other 3, it would be good to have you just come out or all 3 of you or,
Yeah.
and Susan,
That's all
whoever
three.
wants to come. Okay,
We can do that, exploratory.
all right,
Yeah.
sounds wonderful. And that's all I have. If you don't have any questions for me,
Any questions? Tracy?
Well done.
thank you.
Yeah, have a good day.
Thank you. You have a good day as well.
Okay, thank you.
Boy, that was quick and easy today.
And
Great.
then you're going to send me
A copy?
the fares and that stuff?
Yes. Oh, no.
Okay. And I had Jody make us a copy, so we don't need the other one. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right, have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Enjoy this beautiful smoke we have outside still yet.
Okay, Chris. Your turn, last but not least.
I just had the resolutions for the two text amendments that we did last meeting, but the resolutions weren't ready yet for our A1 and A2 district. And or basically taking the single-family homes, moving it to a special exception use in our A1 district, 40 feet of road frontage in our A1 and A2 district, and the creation of a conservation agricultural subdivision that would only be in the A1 district, and removal of the A1 from a minor subdivision. So basically taking it from 4 proposed, or 4 total lots in a minor to 2 in the conservation agricultural subdivision. And then another resolution and ordinance for the removal of the fee schedule from the UDO and just putting it in the Plan Commission's rules of procedure. We discussed those last meeting, and the resolutions weren't.
Posted with the agenda.
Right.
So we have
There you go.
Resolution 2023-R-11, UDO-84, and then we have a -12 and a UDO-85. The R11 is the A1, A2, all that part, and then the 12 is the fee changes.
We need to do those separately, I assume.
Yes, 11 should be one reading, 12 being fees.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Take 3 readings.
I would think so.
So we'll have to.
And publication in the newspaper afterwards, I think, too.
Yeah.
To remove the fees, we do?
Oh, well,
Are we removing or adding?
Removing.
We're moving them out of the UDO, or out of the,
So,
but we're
Not-
not changing them any, but we are changing the UDO.
But we're not charging the public an additional fee or an additional amount. So I don't believe that it needs 3, and I don't think it has to be advertised. If we,
removing this fee schedule
if we
out of the
charge
UDO,
them,
right?
Correct.
yeah, like with the horse and buggy, because we're
Right.
charging them a fee that was new, then we had to do all that. But I don't,
If you would remove the fee from the buggy ordinance, you wouldn't have to do a, yeah, 3 readings,
yeah.
yeah.
So I think we should be okay, since it's not an additional.
Right.
so these fees are we're removing them from the UDO, but where are we moving them to?
To the rules of procedure for the Plan Commission, which does not, is not an ordinance.
Okay, all right.
Right.
All right, then, yeah, you're correct.
So if we don't change the fees, we're just removing the verbiage from the UDO.
Correct.
We're not changing the fees, therefore I wouldn't think it'd need a third
I
reading.
think that's correct, but that's a good point. Anytime you mess with fees, just like Mike said, it's good to think
Right.
about that stuff
Yeah.
each time, so.
Yeah, I agree, because I tend to forget that.
I'll move to approve Resolution 2023-R-11.
One at a time.
By title only.
There you go.
And I will second that.
A motion and a second. Additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye?
Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Now the other one.
That was number 84, right? Or that was UDO 84, yeah. Yep.
So while Todd's writing, I'll move to approve Resolution 2023-R-12 by title only, ordinance UDO-85, and ordinance amending the DeKalb County Unified Development Ordinance.
I will second that also.
And motion and a second. Comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye?
Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carries.
I'll get those recorded and copies given brought back, or the original brought back to you.
Thank you for working on those.
Thank you,
I know
guys.
that was a lot of
Oh,
work.
appreciate it.
Just to maybe
yeah.
touch base on the stuff with Ben Kraft, just to
Yes.
touch base on that. It sounds like he's doing some working with either Bill and now with Chris to get a new permit, I think.
Well, he has
or-
to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals for the use.
Okay.
I had met with him 3 Mondays ago, and emailed him as for an update last Friday, and was working to go on vacation either this week or next week, and so his plan is to get me an application, when he gets back from vacation. So I'll follow up with him in a couple weeks if I have not heard from him, for that.
The reason I'm bringing it up is you gentlemen had indicated for me to go ahead and pursue a lawsuit, but I had understood from talking to Bill that he was going to speak to Ben and then had spoken to him, and that Ben was indicating his desire to comply with the county. But I just wanted to have some discussion about here because that, is changing what I had been told by all 3 commissioners. And
Yeah, so I would certainly appreciate some kind of an update on what changed, because, we've been trying to get some compliance for over 2 years here and haven't had much luck, so we were at a point where we were going to do legal action, and all of a sudden we've regrouped, so I would just appreciate an update, since the last thing we voted on was to go ahead and proceed with
I believe we've been up there, he has applied for the variance, right? He has not. He's after vacation.
That's what he's told me.
Okay, because that's what he told me too. I talked to him the other day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Bill met with him on Wednesday evening or Thursday, and then after Drainage Board, you came and spoke to me about his desire to move forward with going through the process because of the wall and the gate that were installed without permits. So if he gets approved through the use variance process through the Board of Zoning Appeals, the use would be approved with the gate and the fence. He would still need permits for the gate and or not fence, the wall and the fence. But the use would be approved, which the use that he would be going for would be outdoor storage and staging of construction debris. Basically, he told me when I met with him that he stages the construction debris out there so that he can get a load large enough to make it equitable for him to take it to a landfill. And that until he gets a load large enough, he doesn't have anywhere else to take it.
Well, and I only withheld pursuing the suit just because if there are conversations going on, like that with a commissioner, I didn't want to necessarily file suit, but also it takes obviously a vote of 2 commissioners at an open meeting here to completely and officially change policy. So I try to be sensitive to what all of you gentlemen are, doing if you're coming to me individually and talking to me about something. So I felt like I needed to withhold from filing suit at that point. I hope I made the right decision on that. But
Yeah. And I believe he still is on vacation, and hopefully when he gets back.
Yeah, it had been 2 weeks and I hadn't heard from him at all.
Yeah, well, I talked to him.
Well, I'm saying from when you spoke to him and then I spoke to him that following Monday, I expected to get something within that week and didn't hear from him for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so I was concerned that we were just being led on the leash again.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure I'm going to follow up with him in another 2 weeks. And if we're back to where we are, I'm going to be a little concerned. But I trust that what he's telling me is correct. And maybe a leaf had been turned with him and his family to get into compliance. I'm not sure what the reason is for coming into compliance. I'm glad he wants to, but.
So 2 questions.
Could have been a little.
One, do you want to give a time frame, like in 2 weeks if it's not done, blah, blah, blah? 2, do you have to unvote your original vote for legal action?
Well, I think we came to the end of the month to get with Chris and get that ball rolling. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm just,
As long as I know there's progress happening.
Yeah.
as you may understand, I'm a little sensitive about deals being made without everybody's knowledge, so.
So end of the month and then Chris is to come back, or end of the month, if nothing's done, then Andrew's supposed to move forward?
Probably would be a good idea. I'd recommend having Chris come back and report
Yeah.
instead of having some trigger for me to file suit without having an update.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
That's what I would prefer.
Yes, I agree.
that's fine, I'm just clarifying.
That's okay to ask?
And I assume, I know how thorough you are, but I assume he understands that if the BCA declines the variance, that he's got to get back in compliance with current
Right,
rules.
right, right.
Okay. Anything
And then the
else?
other thing was, because we are filing lawsuit on you guys heard through Dottie that our code enforcement, Paul White, resigned, which really stinks. He was
what'd you
he was
run
really
him
good.
out for, Chris? Come on.
He had told me for a while that it's just something that he, time-wise and
Yeah.
stuff, it just is a lot. But nonetheless, we have not had any applicants come through that are qualified for the position. But we still have a lawsuit that is moving forward for last name of Thrush.
Yes, Todd. I think it's Todd Thrush.
Yes, and we're working on that. But one thing that Andrew found in our public nuisance ordinance is that it doesn't state anything about the attorney fees being, what's the word I'm looking for, Andrew, here?
It states,
Basically recouping our attorney fees, right? And then also
it says the actual
violation fees.
filing fees incurred with filing the ordinance violation and attorney fees of up to $250.
There you go.
That doesn't cover hardly any attorney fees.
That's the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's quite that bad, but, and I believe we can file these, as I understand it, without a filing fee anyway, but still $250 is not a lot
yeah.
if you're talking about a case and then.
Right.
I mean, we had the Plan Commission Mincer Zion case, and that was thousands of dollars up on appeal, and so.
Right. So one thing that Andrew and I discussed was if him and I can take a look at that ordinance and bring it back for revisions to you, to get that part tightened up as far as recouping attorney fees and
And
that sort of
defining
thing.
that each day is a violation for
Yeah.
sure, which I think it might be anyway, but I'd like to just have that language tightened up.
Yeah. So if that's something you guys would like us to do, we can try to do that and bring it back in a couple weeks.
I emailed Doug Cox this morning and told him about the open position. He's a fire chief
Okay.
at Auburn now. So he emailed back and said he would let all of his people know that opening was available.
Okay. Yeah, Dottie had emailed, I believe, all the fire chiefs, but I'm not for certain on that, but she was gonna do another push of that job out there, so. Cool.
Okay. That it?
Those are the only two things, Andrew? Yeah.
Yes, I think so.
Great.
The attorney fees
I'll get
are
these
fine.
recorded for you, Susan, and get them back up here to you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Okay.
Chris, have a good one.
You too. Have a
Yeah.
good week.
Hey, Chris.
Speaking of recorded, did we record the resolution for the Pokabosh appointment? Has that been, if that's been recorded, I need a copy, or we need to email a copy to John Baumgartner.
I think I did send it to you. And I don't know, maybe Rick? I don't know. But I will
If you did,
look.
could you send it to me again?
Absolutely.
I'll get it where it needs to be.
Yes.
They
I
just
will
need a
send-
recorded copy. Well, yeah, recorded copy of the interlocal agreement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Any miscellaneous?
I got
We
one more. Unfortunately, Bob Patterson passed away. He was on the DeKalb County Airport Authority Board. And
That was very sudden.
Yeah, it was. He was really, really a good board member. The commissioners are charged to place a board member. I believe John Cruz would be highly qualified to fill that position. He has good discernment on this kind of stuff, and I would like to nominate him to the board position.
I'll second that, certainly.
Okay, we have motion and second. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye?
Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carries. John Cruz, new Airport Authority Board Member.
Great, thank you.
Okay, what was the gentleman's name? I'm sorry, that passed.
John Cruz.
No,
Oh,
the one
Bob Patterson, or
Patter-
Bob Patterson.
Patterson, okay.
Passed.
It might be Robert, his official name, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yeah,
Okay, then we are adjourned. Thank you all.
great, because I'm hungry. A lot done today.
Yeah.
Yeah, busy day.
Yeah.
Earned our keep today.
Yeah. I'll get some more. What'd you say, Bill? I'm sorry.